Chapter 878. This time, she brought her second cousin along with her to Sun City. Zhao Qianhu woke up early in the morning. He put on a set of new clothes and went to Sun City with Zhao Yun'er. After tidying up and dressing up, he put on a set of new clothes and shaved his face clean. Zhao Yun'er realized that her second cousin was quite good-looking. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. The lines on his face were very distinct. Although he was not as delicate as Zhao Tianlong, he had the charm of a mature man. Zhao Tianlong and Zhao Qianhu were twin brothers. The reason why there was such a big difference was because Zhao Tianlong had been studying since he was young. Naturally, he had the temperament of a scholar. Because of his studies, Zhao Tianlong had never touched the farm work of old Zhao's family. Zhao Qianhu was the opposite. Zhao Qianhu had been working since he was young, and the work he did was all manual labor. After a long time he developed muscles and looked very strong. After being exposed to the sun for a long time, Zhao Qianhu's skin was very dark. It was the kind of yellowish-black. There were two types of women, each with their own charms. However, Zhao Yun'er preferred the more manly type of man. In Zhao Yun'er's opinion, those delicate men were especially feminine. On the way, Zhao Yun'er sized up Zhao Qianhu, making Zhao Qianhu feel very shy and uncomfortable. Seeing that Zhao Qianhu's cheeks were stained with a touch of red, Zhao Yun'er continued to tease him. "Second cousin, you look really good today. You're different from usual." After being praised by Zhao Yun'er, Zhao Qianhu scratched his head shyly and said, "Sister Yun'er, don't tease me. What's there to be good-looking about me?" Zhao Qianhu had never heard anyone praise him for his good looks. Therefore he felt that he was definitely not good-looking. He still had an elder brother above him. With his elder brother around, everyone who praised him was basically his elder brother. When compared to him, it was normal for him to be neglected. "Second cousin, I'm not laughing at you. What I said is the truth. You are very good-looking. If you don't believe me, you can ask my mother and sister-in-law Mulan." Liang Jinxiao smiled and agreed, "Yeah, I didn't notice it before, but after dressing up a little today, I do look a lot better." "He looks quite handsome in our village," Mulan said. Zhao Qianhu's face turned even redder when he heard the words of the three women. "You think it's beautiful, but other people might not think so," Zhao Qianhu said timidly. The other person he was referring to was naturally the girl he was going on a blind date with today. It could be seen that Zhao Qianhu was still a little nervous. It was normal for him to have this kind of reaction. After all, it was his marriage. Zhao Qianhu hadn't had much contact with girls before. This was the first time he was meeting a strange girl. Seeing that Zhao Qianhu was nervous, Zhao Yun'er comforted him. "Second cousin, be confident. Don't be too nervous. Think about it. You're not bad-looking. We all think you're good-looking. Women like you should have the same taste. She must also think you're good-looking." Being comforted by Zhao Yun'er, Zhao Qianhu felt a little better. "Really? Of course. Second cousin, why would we lie to you?" Chapter 879. In Zhao Yun'er's eyes, he looked exceptionally adorable. Actually, her second cousin was quite adorable. It was just that she hadn't interacted much with him in the past. On the way, Zhao Qianhu was both nervous and expectant. Soon they arrived at Yang City. They arrived rather early, so there weren't many people around. The blind date had to wait for a while. When Zhao Qianhu arrived, he didn't idle around. Instead, he helped Zhao Yun'er with her work. He was much more diligent than the others. He was such a hard-working, kind and honest man. Actually, it wouldn't be bad to marry such a man. Her eldest aunt had arranged Zhao Qianhu's marriage for him. She was concerned about her cousin, but she couldn't possibly get involved and help her cousin arrange his marriage, right? If this blind date failed, then this marriage would fall through. She wanted to discuss with Mulan to matchmake Mu Hin and Zhao Qianhu. Both of them were honest and hard-working people, so they would definitely be able to spend their days together. Although her eldest aunt wasn't a good person, she was good to her son and daughter-in-law. If Mu Hin married over, she wouldn't have to suffer. Zhao Yun'er was just thinking about it. She didn't know the specifics. She would wait and see. If Zhao Qianhu's marriage was successful, then she wouldn't have to continue worrying about it. The morning stall was busy. Business was a little slower than before because Yili still didn't come. It had been 2 days. It seemed that something had really happened. Zhao Yun'er was worried. This guy was alone without his family. Could he have fallen sick? Caught a cold? If that was the case, then he would still have someone to take care of him. It was a pity that Zhao Yun'er didn't know where Yili lived. Otherwise, she could check to see if something had happened to him. Zhao Yun'er set up the stall while chatting with Zhao Yun'er. What Liang Jinxiao was worried about now was Zhao Ping'er's wedding. As the day approached, there were many things that needed to be done. "Mother, Didn't the family Qin say that they would send betrothal gifts? Why haven't they sent them yet? Xiaoyun asked in confusion. Liang Jinxiao shook his head and said, I'm not sure about that either. There's no reply from them. As a woman, I don't think it's appropriate for her to ask, right? Mother, could it be that he doesn't want to marry Ping and went back? Xiaoyun asked worriedly. Liang Jinxiao frowned. No. No way. Mother, there's nothing wrong with that. According to the etiquette, their family should be here. Well, if they don't want to marry Ping they should at least send us a message in advance, Guning said. It's impossible for them not to say a word. Zhao Yun'er frowned. I don't know. I hope not. After all, our families have already made an agreement. It's not easy for them to go back on their words. Yes. Liang Jinxiao answered with a thoughtful expression. The truth was somewhat similar to what Zhao Yun'er had guessed. The reason why the family Qin hadn't sent the betrothal gifts to the third branch yet was that the Qin Yuan had a quarrel with the family. In the 21st century it was called premarital phobia. After all, Zhao Pinger's appearance was truly too ugly. As long as a man saw that face, he would probably be extremely disgusted. Chapter 880. Therefore, Qin Yuan threw a tantrum and said that he would not marry a woman like Zhao Ping. Hearing Qin Yuan say such words, the most anxious people were the Qin couple. Because they had a good agreement with Zhao Yun'er's family, if they were to go back on their word, they would definitely come over to reason with them. This was not a small matter. It was related to the girl's reputation. If Zhao Yun'er's family wanted to compensate, how could they afford it? In addition, Zhao Yun'er's family was related to the current heir apparent. As ordinary people, they could not afford to offend them. The only solution now was to marry Zhao Ping. According to the agreement with Zhao Yun'er's family, they could not go back on their word. Mu Chunfang earnestly persuaded Qin Yuan, I know that Ping is a little ugly, but our family has already made a promise. How can we go back on our word? This is not child's play. Qin Yuan's face was bitter. He looked at Mu Chunfang pitifully and said, Mother, I really can't take it anymore. Zhao Ping is so ugly. When I think of her appearance, I can't help but want to vomit. After Qin Yuan finished speaking, the fool Qin Chuan at the side echoed, So ugly that I want to vomit. So ugly that I want to vomit. Mother, look at how ugly Zhao Ping is. Even a fool like Big Brother knows that she is ugly. If I were to marry such an ugly woman, who knows how many people in the village would laugh at me. Mu Chunfang sighed heavily and said, Mother knows? But our family is so poor. If you can't find a wife, people will laugh at you even more. Don't you think so? At this time, Qin Dahai walked over and said to Qin Yuan with a serious face, This marriage must be done. Yuan, you are not young anymore. You are not a child anymore. Do you think this is a game? If you don't get married, the Qin family will be the ones to lose face if they come to our house and cause trouble. If people find out what's going on, I reckon that no one will dare to marry into our family in the future. Who knows if our family's words still count? After Qin Dahai finished speaking, Mu Chunfang agreed, Yuan, your father is right. The village is not that big and our family is not far from the Zhao family. Some words will spread back to the village and ruin our family Qin's reputation. Qin Yuan listened and remained silent. This was his fault. He should have said it earlier. At that time, the two families hadn't reached an agreement yet, so there was still a chance to regret it. Now, there wasn't even a chance to regret it. Seeing his son in so much pain, Mu Chunfang comforted him, Yuan, actually, it is fine if you marry her. You don't have to marry Ping. Your older brother is a fool. Why don't you let Ping be your wife too? We have many shared wives anyway. Mother, is this okay? Qin Yuan listened to Mu Chunfang's words and asked excitedly. Of course it is okay. Our family did not say whether you will marry her alone or both of you. Mother, with Big Brother like this, does he know how to do that? Qin Yuan asked worriedly. Mu Chunfang smiled and said, Why not? It is not difficult. You can ask your father to teach him later. Although your brother is a fool, there are some things that he learns very quickly. Qin Yuan nodded his head. That's true. Chapter 881. Yes, Mother. You're right. Our family is too poor. We have to rely on that ugly woman to make our lives better. We can't live such a hard life all the time. Qin Yuan was a little scared of living such a life of not having enough to eat. Thinking of Zhao Yun'er's food, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. When our family is really rich, Mother will marry a beautiful wife for you. What do you think? After being coaxed by Mu Chunfang, Qin Yuan nodded his head even harder. Mother, okay. then I'll marry Zhao Ping. Seeing that Xuanhuan was finally convinced, Mu Chunfeng breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. Her son was so stubborn these 2 days because he didn't want to be with Zhao Ping. As a result, she didn't dare to send out the betrothal gifts. Now that Xuanhuan agreed, she could choose a time to send the betrothal gifts to Zhao family in these 2 days. There were only a few days left before the wedding. Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao talked about other things. Because of Zhao Ping'er's marriage, the third branch received a lot of betrothal gifts this time. Except for the relatives, most of the betrothal gifts were from the neighbors in the village. Even the neighbors who didn't have much contact with them in the past sent them betrothal gifts. In fact, the reason why the villagers were so enthusiastic was because of Mu Lianfeng's identity. After all, the third branch had a relationship with Lord Shizi. It was not for the third branch's sake, but for Lord Shizi's sake, they had to send some betrothal gifts to the third branch. If they ran into trouble in the future and needed help, it wouldn't be too embarrassing for them to ask. "Mother, has our second aunt sent the betrothal gifts?" Zhao Yun'er asked. All the other relatives came to their house. It seemed that only her second aunt hadn't come yet. Zhao Yun'er asked. Her second aunt knew that Zhao Ping'er was going to get married. There was no reason for her not to give the wedding money. Speaking of this, Liang Jinxiao shook his head and said, "No, your second aunt didn't come. Maybe she was delayed by something at home?" Liang Jinxiao always thought too highly of others, but at the end of the day it was because she was kind-hearted. However, Zhao Yun'er did not think so. Zhao Yun'er snorted softly, "Mother, I think it's not that second aunt doesn't have time. She just doesn't want to come over and give us the money. Even if she's really busy, she can find someone to bring it over, right?" "That can't be. Your second aunt wouldn't do that. She knows the ways of the world. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with us anymore because he had a fight with us and suffered a loss here." Zhao Yun'er guessed. If that was the case, she wouldn't want to deal with people like Liang Jinfen. But, we're relatives after all. She won't ruin our relationship like this, right? I don't know. Given second aunt's character, she might really do that. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Liang Jinxiao sighed heavily and didn't know what to say. "Mother, how much betrothal gifts did you give second aunt when my cousin got married?" 88 copper coins. What's wrong? Liang Jinxiao asked with confusion. He didn't know why Zhao Yun'er suddenly asked this question. 88 copper coins? That's a lot. It was enough to buy several kilograms of meat. Thinking about it, her parents were really generous. They actually gave her 88 copper coins. Chapter 882. Zhao Yun'er couldn't accept it. She didn't like to be taken advantage of, so she had to get back at them. Therefore, Zhao Yun'er said to Liang Jinxiao, "Mother, I think we should inform second aunt's family one last time. I don't believe that she won't give it to us." Liang Jinxiao sighed and said, "Yun'er, forget it. It's actually not that much money." Liang Jinxiao acted like a peacemaker again. Zhao Yun'er insisted, "Mother, don't be like this all the time. It's not good to be taken advantage of. I have my own arrangements for this matter." Liang Jinxiao sighed and replied, "All right then. Yun'er, as long as you know that we won't go too far." "I know, Mother." Zhao Yun'er couldn't stand Liang Jinxiao's nagging in her ear. After a while, they saw a middle-aged woman with a 7 or 8-year-old boy and a 16 or 17-year-old girl come to look at her family's stall. When they came over, the middle-aged woman said to Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao, "You're from the Zhao family, right? We agreed that the 2 children would meet each other, so I brought my daughter here." Zhao Yun'er looked up at the woman and smiled at her. Please sit in the stall. This is my second cousin. He's here to have a blind date with your daughter." Zhao Yun'er knew that Zhao Qianhu was going to have a blind date, so she specially left a table for them to sit down and chat. She couldn't let them just stand there. Zhou Damei smiled and replied, Okay, sit down and chat." "Ah." Zhou Damei's face was full of smiles and she looked very happy. Then Zhou Damei pulled the girl aside and said to the girl, Come on in. Why are you standing there like a wooden stake?" The girl called Zhuer's real name was Jianghu. As soon as she came over, she lowered her head and didn't raise it, so Zhao Yun'er didn't see what the girl looked like. Although she was curious, Zhao Yun'er didn't keep staring at her. Seeing that Jianghu didn't raise her head, she thought that it might be because it was her first blind date, so she was shy. After being greeted by Zhou Damei, Jianghu answered timidly, "Okay." As she spoke, Zhou Damei brought her son and daughter to sit down. Zhao Yun'er asked her second cousin Zhao Qianhu not to help with the work and quickly go on a blind date to have a chat. Under Zhao Yun'er's persuasion, Zhao Qianhu shyly sat at the table. "Mother, let's send some food up," Zhao Yun'er urged. Since they sat down, they had to serve them some food. They couldn't be too shabby and say that they were stingy. Xiaoyun sent 4 bowls of wonton, 2 steamers of xilong bao, and 1 steamer of shumai. She also sent some fried dumplings and meat buns. Zhou Damei had never eaten so much delicious food at once, so she quickly ate. Bao, this wonton soup, mother will blow on it for you. Eat it later. However, Jin Bao anxiously muttered, but mother, I'm hungry. If you're hungry, eat something else first. Come, have a meat bun first. Then Zhou Damei took a meat bun and stuffed it into Jin Bao's hand, beckoning Jin Bao to eat. As for whether Jinju ate or not, she didn't care at all. She wasn't in the mood to worry about this, so she just ate by herself. Chapter 883. Zhu Eru sat down nervously and glanced at Jinju shyly. He found that Jinju lowered her head and didn't touch the bowl and chopsticks in front of her. Zhu Eru couldn't see what Jinju looked like. He could only see Jinju's thin and weak body. Jinju was really very thin. The loose clothes on her body didn't seem to hold up at all. It was precisely her frail appearance that made one's heart ache. Xuanhuan couldn't help but say to Jinju, well, why don't you eat? You must be hungry, right? Have some. It's hot and comfortable to eat. Xuanhuan's deep voice sounded in Jin Shui's ears. Jin Shui's ears turned red, but she still didn't raise her head. Hearing Xuanhuan's words, Zhou Damei glanced at Jinju and said with some displeasure, you little girl, are you mute? She's talking to you. Why are you ignoring her? Being reprimanded by Zhou Damei, Jinju's body trembled in fear. Then she answered in a trembling voice, oh. Jinju's reaction angered Zhou Damei even more. Zhou Damei couldn't help but grumble, I'm really going to be angered to death by you, you wretched girl. You're like a dead person all day long. When I talk to you, all you do is ah and den. Can't you say anything? If I didn't know better, I would think that I raised a mute daughter. Jinju was silent for a while and finally said, Mother, I know. Jinju's appearance made Xuanhu even more distressed. He thought that this girl was really pitiful. A mother like Zhou Damei seemed to be a little fierce. No wonder Jin Shui was afraid of her. So Xuanhu couldn't help but defend her. Andy, don't scold her. Maybe it's the first time we've met today, so she's a little nervous. Zhou Damei understood the situation clearly, so she naturally wouldn't continue to be angry in front of Xuanhu. She smiled and said to Xuanhu, you're really considerate. Xuanhuan blushed at the compliment. It's my pleasure. With that, Xuanhu took out a steamed bun and handed it to Jinju. He said softly to Jinju, come eat. Don't be afraid. I don't eat people. Xuanhu's words warmed Jinju's heart. There had never been anyone who cared about her like this. In fact, she was very disgusted and repulsed by this blind date. She felt that Zhou Damei had randomly arranged a marriage for her. Because Zhou Damei was not her biological mother, but her stepmother. It was said that stepmothers were cruel and merciless. Her stepmother was also not good to her. She often beat and scolded her and made her work. Even if she were to find a husband for her, she would definitely find someone who could give her a good wedding gift, no matter what the man was like. She didn't want her fate to be arranged like this. She didn't want to casually find someone to marry. That would be her happiness for the rest of her life. The first half of her life was miserable enough, and she didn't want to continue to be miserable for the rest of her life. But she didn't expect that the man who came to the blind date today seemed to be very good. He also cared about her a lot. She actually didn't feel any repulsion in her heart. Thank you. Jinju took the steamed bun handed over by Xuanhu and thanked him. You're welcome. Seeing that Jinju was still eating with her head down, Zhou Damei couldn't stand it anymore. She reprimanded Jinju, I asked you to come over to see what the man looks like. Let him see you too. You keep your head down, how can he see you? Chapter 884. Of course, Zhou Damei was not oblivious to how vulgar her words were. Jinju's body trembled, and then she raised her head. Xuanhu looked at Jinju curiously. The girl in front of him was young and inexperienced. She looked quite cute with a pair of canine teeth. She was very likable. Xuanhu took a liking to Jinju at first glance. If he could marry this girl, he would definitely be willing. Jinju also could not help but glance at Xuanhuan. She found that Xuanhuan was actually quite good-looking, which was beyond her expectations. She thought that he would be very old and ugly. Without a doubt, Jinju was also very satisfied with Xuanhuan's appearance and temperament. The two of them looked at each other for a few seconds, then looked away in embarrassment. Their ears were even redder. Xiaoyun was busy attending to the stall. As for Jin Shui and Zhao Qianhu's matters, she could not divert her attention to worry about them. Zhou Damei was almost done eating, then she began to ask questions here and there to further understand the situation. When she heard Zhao Qianhu say that her brother, Zhao Tianlong, had actually gone to the capital to study, she also felt that Zhao Tianlong could pass the exam. This way, when Zhao Tianlong became an official in the future, Jinju would be able to marry him, and their family would be able to live a good life together. Zhou Damei was very satisfied with Zhao Qianhu's family's conditions. As for the following matters, the two families would have to discuss in detail. There were a lot of things that Zhao Yun'er brought up, and Zhou Damei finally stuffed all of them into her stomach. Finally she let out a loud burp. Today's meal was really satisfying. That's about it. You two have seen it. I'll take Ju-er to buy some more things and then go back. Zhou Damei stood up and said goodbye. Zhao Qianhu responded, Auntie, take care on the road. I know. Zhao Yun'er walked over and also said, Auntie, take care. You guys go ahead. I'll come over next time when I'm in Shangyang City. Zhou Damei smiled. When Zhenhao was about to leave, Jinju stood still. Zhou Damei looked at Jinju with a puzzled expression and asked, What's wrong with you? Why aren't you leaving? Haven't you seen enough? When Zhou Damei said that she had not seen enough, she meant that she had not seen enough of Zhao Qianhu, implying that Jinju was shameless. Zhou Damei's words made Zhao Qianhu's face redden even more. In fact, he was reluctant to let Jinju go, but there was no reason to make her stay. Jinju's face sank and she bit her lower lip. Finally she said to Zhou Damei, Mother, we ate so much. Are we just going to leave like this? Do we have to pay before we leave? After Jinju finished speaking, Zhou Damei was stunned. Then she scolded in a low voice, You damned girl, what nonsense are you talking about? They had spent a lot of money to eat so much. If they were to pay, how much would they have to pay? Could it be that this wretched girl's brain was damaged? If he had finished eating, then so be it. Why did he have to mention it and specially pay for it? Mom, we've eaten so much. Shouldn't we pay for it? I haven't married him yet. How can I take advantage of him? Jinju lowered her head and said weakly. This sentence almost made Zhou Damei die of anger. Chapter 885. Who wouldn't take advantage of others? Saying that, Zhou Damei pinched Jinju's body again to vent her anger. She didn't feel sorry for Jinju at all. She looked at Jinju as if she wanted to eat Jinju alive. Jinju bit her lower lip in pain. After taking a deep breath, tears welled up in her eyes, but she forced herself to hold them back. Jinju had already gotten used to this situation. Anyway, it wasn't the first time that she was beaten and treated like this by Zhou Damei. After being beaten and scolded by Zhou Damei like this, Jinju didn't give in. Instead, she stood in front of Zhou Damei with a determined face and continued to say, Mother, I think we should pay. There's no reason not to pay. Jinju deliberately raised her voice to let Zhao Yun'er and Zhao Tianhu hear it. In this way, Zhou Damei would feel embarrassed to not pay and directly walk away. Zhou Damei felt that there was a mouthful of blood in her chest. She almost spat it out because of Jinju. What's wrong with this wicked girl today? After Jinju finished her words, Zhou Damei's face darkened even more. You wicked girl, you're really turning the world upside down. I'll deal with you slowly when we get home. Zhou Damei snorted softly in Jinju's ear. If she didn't teach her a lesson when they got home, she wouldn't know her limits. It was true that if she hadn't been beaten for 3 days, she would naturally become obedient after being taught a lesson. After Jinju finished her words, Zhao Qianhu stared at Jinju in a daze. For some reason, when he saw Jinju's thin and determined appearance, his heart ached instead. Because of Jinju's words, Zhao Yun'er also looked at Jinju curiously. This girl gave her a different feeling and she suddenly had a good impression of her. However, looking at Zhou Damei, Zhao Yun'er knew that Zhou Damei didn't want to pay. Of course, Zhao Yun'er and Zhao Qianhu never intended to let her pay. When Jinju and Zhou Damei were in a deadlock, Zhao Yun'er said, No need. My aunt told me to take care of my stall. She has already paid, so you don't have to pay. Zhao Qianhu regained his senses and smiled at Jinju. Yes, you don't have to pay. Today is the first time we've met, the man has to do something. There's no reason for the woman to spend money. Zhou Damei's originally dark face suddenly brightened up. Tianhu, you're such a filial child. Help me tell your mother that we thank her for her hospitality. We're very satisfied with today's meal. After Zhou Damei finished speaking, she poked Jinju, who was beside her, and said, Stupid girl, did you hear that? She said that she didn't need to pay, so why are you taking out the money so diligently? Do you think our family is living a good life? Do you know that it's not easy for your father to earn money, and your brother still has to study? Our family has plenty of places to spend money. Jianghu thought that perhaps Zhao Qianhu and Zhao Yuner knew that Zhou Damei wouldn't pay, so they said this to resolve the awkwardness. Mother, that's not good. If you don't pay, then don't pay. When I earn money myself, I'll come back and pay you back. Today's money is what I owe. After Jianghu finished speaking, she turned and left. Zhou Damei was stunned on the spot. She was almost angered to death by Jianghu's words. Incredible, the sky was really turned upside down. Zhou Damei couldn't flare up now. After all, there were still people watching. If someone familiar saw this, they would definitely say that her stepmother was ruthless. She was ruthless to her own daughter. Chapter 886. Zhou Damei forced a smile at Zhao Yuner and Zhao Tianan. Her smile was very hard and forced. Well, I'll go back with my Jewer first. We'll talk about the marriage between our two families later. Okay, auntie. Zhao Qianhu responded politely. Zhao Yuner stepped forward and said, Take care, auntie. I won't see you off. No need to see me off, no need to see me off. Your family's business is so busy. Go to your business. After saying that, Zhou Damei dragged the little boy beside her and ran away. Not far away, Zhao Yuner vaguely heard Zhou Damei's sharp scolding. Jianghu, you wretched girl. Slow down. I'll teach you a lesson when we get home. You even gave me money. Where did you get the money? If you can really earn money, don't you know how to keep it for your family's use? What's the meaning of returning it to others? Little bitch, if I don't teach you a lesson, your skin will itch. After Zhao Yuner heard Zhou Damei's scolding words, the corner of her mouth couldn't help but twitch. What kind of person was this? Another big weirdo. Zhao Yuner ridiculed, but she didn't have deep contact with Zhou Damei, so it wasn't difficult to understand. If it was just about being greedy, it would be fine. After all, there were many women of this age in the countryside who were greedy. She was afraid that Zhou Damei had other strange things that she didn't know. Zhao Yuner turned around and saw Zhao Qianhu continue to look in the direction of Jianghu's departure, worry between his brows. Zhao Yuner asked with a smile, Second cousin, she's gone far. What are you still looking at? Since you're so reluctant to marry her, you can take your time and look at her every day. After being teased by Zhao Yuner, Zhao Qianhu's face was dyed with a touch of red. Yuner, don't laugh at me. It's not even close. Second cousin, what's not even close? It's obviously very possible. What do you think? Are you satisfied with this girl? Speaking of that, Zhao Qianhu blushed. What's wrong, second cousin? Are you embarrassed? No, it's not. Then, second cousin, are you satisfied or not? Under Zhao Yuner's interrogation, Zhao Qianhu finally nodded and said, I think it's good. Second cousin, it's good that you're satisfied. Later I can ask Big Aunt to help you talk about the marriage. Seeing Zhao Qianhu so shy, Zhao Yuner felt that if she said a few more words, Zhao Qianhu would dig a hole and hide in it. From Zhao Qianhu's reaction, Zhao Yuner could also guess that Zhao Qianhu was very satisfied with Jianghu. Jianghu was not bad, but Zhou Damei was a little weird. At around 10 p.m., Zhao Yuner started to clean up the stall. She went to the stall to buy some things and went back. Yuner, Mr. Yi hasn't been here for 2 days. What happened? Zhao Yuner shook her head. I don't know. Sigh, if Mr. Yi has something to do and left, he should at least inform us, right? It's quite worrying. Mulan sighed softly as she spoke. Sister-in-law Mulan, what are you talking about? He has nothing to do with us, so he doesn't have to explain anything to us. Maybe he left Yang City. Zhao Yuner guessed in her heart. She was just comforting Mulan so that she wouldn't be too worried. Mulan thought that it made sense. Yi Li and they were just strangers who had met by chance, so there was no need for him to explain anything. Chapter 887. The worry in Mulan's heart dissipated and was replaced by a faint sadness. After all, Yi Li had been with them for a period of time. Naturally, they would have feelings for each other. Although she had not spoken much with Yi Li and had not interacted much, they still had feelings for each other when they saw each other every day. It's good that you're fine. We don't know when Sir Yi will be back. Our stall still needs beauties to serve as a signboard. Business has obviously been a lot worse these 2 days. Mulan sighed. Zhao Yuner could not help but laugh. Sister-in-law Mulan, why don't you ask Brother Eru to come over and serve as a signboard for our stall? Mulan blushed slightly and looked coquettishly at Zhao Yuner. Forget it, Yuner, don't make fun of me. My Eru's looks are only average. It's not enough to attract young ladies. But the Crown Prince can. Why don't you ask him to come over? He doesn't have time for that. That's true. The crown prince is busy with business. He doesn't have time to waste like us. As the two of them chatted, the stall was already tidied up. The few of them went to the market together. Xiaoyun still had to buy more meat. When they arrived at the stall, they saw two familiar figures from afar. One was her youngest aunt and the other was her cousin, Su Xiaodi. When Xiaoyun saw them, the corners of her mouth turned up. Just nice. Now that she had bumped into her second aunt, she could remind her about the gift money. Their family could not lose out. When Xiaoyun walked closer, she heard Liang Jinfen and Su Xiaodi say, "Xiaodi, you're pregnant. You have to nourish your body well. As long as you give birth to a son, your status in the Huang family will be stable." Su Xiaodi stood beside Liang Jinfen and nodded. "Yes, mother. I know. I will work hard and give birth to a son. That way my eldest sister-in-law won't be able to say anything about me." A woman's position in her husband's family had a lot to do with having children. Her sister-in-law Yang Qin went back and complained about her to her in-laws. Naturally, she was scolded by her in-laws. Because of this, she was ignored by the Huang family for a while. If this continued, he might really lose his favor. Right now, the only thing that could make her in-laws change their attitude towards her slightly was to give birth to a boy for the Huang family. After the Huang family had her, their attitude towards her would naturally improve greatly. In addition, her two sisters-in-law had not given birth to a boy. If she gave birth to a boy this time, he would be the Huang family's only golden grandson. Of course, if you can give birth to a son, who will be able to shake your position in the Huang family. In the future, you can order your sister-in-law around for anything. Hearing Liang Jinfen's words, Su Xiaodi was elated. "Mother, I also want to have a son, but is the one in my stomach a son? What if it's a girl?" Liang Jinfen stared at Su Xiaodi's stomach and comforted her. "Xiaodi, don't worry. It's definitely a boy in your stomach." "Mother, how can you be so sure?" Liang Jinfen chuckled. "Of course I know. I have given birth to a few children. I even asked a lot of people. Giving birth to a boy or a girl's stomach is different. A boy's stomach is round and big just like yours." These words calmed Su Xiaodi's heart a lot. "Mother, that's good. If I can give birth to a boy, our third branch's life in the Huang family will be much better. Of course. It's best if your eldest and second sisters-in-law can't give birth to a boy. Then the Huang family's assets will all be yours." Chapter 888. The more they talked, the more excited they became. They were full of anticipation for the future. "That's why, Xiaodi, you have to nourish your body more. Eat better and your milk will be better in the future. It'll be easier for you to give birth then." Liang Jinfen said lovingly. "It's fine if your in-laws don't fork out the money. I still have some private money to buy meat for you. I'll stew it for you secretly after I buy it. Even if they catch you, it's fine. It's my money anyway. No one can do anything about it." Su Xiaodi looked at Liang Jinfen, touched. "Mother, you're still the best to me. When I have money in the future, I'll be filial to you." Su Xiaodi's words made Liang Jinfen happy. She was counting on her daughters for the rest of her life. Now, it seemed that Su Xiaodi was the most reliable. After all, Su Xiaodi was going to marry into the richest family. Liang Jinfen called out to the owner of the meat stall and asked her to cut a caddy of meat. "Ah, this pork liver looks good. Boss, I bought a caddy of pork. Can you give me some pork liver?" Liang Jinfen stared at the half piece of pork liver on the stall and looked at it greedily. The owner of the meat stall was not happy. "Sister-in-law, this pork liver costs Lu Wenqian a caddy. It's not cheap. You bought a caddy of pork and I gave it to you. There are so many people coming to buy it. If I give it to all of them, I don't have to sell meat anymore." Liang Jinfen pursed her lips and continued, "Ah, you can't say that. People come to buy it early in the morning and the meat is still fresh. I came in the afternoon. If you don't give it to me, you won't be able to sell it. If you wait until tomorrow, you probably won't be able to sell it for a good price." The owner of the meat stall looked at Liang Jinfen speechlessly. How could there be such a person? Most people wouldn't say anything in such a situation, right? But she was still shameless enough to ask for it. This was the first time he had seen such a weirdo. The owner of the meat stall opened his mouth and replied calmly, "It's my business whether I can sell the liver or not. You don't have to worry about it. But I definitely can't give you the liver. A caddy of meat can't be sold for much money. If you give me so much, I might as well not sell it at all." Liang Jinfen was instantly unhappy. "Why are you like this? I sell meat at other stalls and they sometimes give me free meat." The owner of the meat stall waved his hand and said, "All right then, go buy it from another stall." The eyes of the owner of the meat stall seemed to be saying, "Hurry up and leave." The further you go, the better. Don't come and harm me. You, Liang Jinfen pointed at the butcher angrily, but Su Xiaodi tugged at his sleeve. Mother, forget it. Let's not take it. Forget it. Let's go to another meat stall. If I don't buy it from this shop, I can't buy it from this shop even if they don't give it to me. I just don't want to earn money for her. With that, Liang Jinfen turned around and left in a huff. The owner of the meat stall was speechless. What kind of person is this? He had been selling meat for a long time, but he had never seen such a weirdo before. Zhao Yun'er heard their conversation from afar and couldn't help complaining in her heart. She was indeed a weirdo. Wasn't she afraid of being beaten by others? If she was the owner of the meat stall, she would definitely go up and slap her face to see if she was still so arrogant. Chapter 889. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's business, Liang Jinfen and Su Xiaodi both turned to look at Zhao Yun'er. When they saw Zhao Yun'er, they didn't seem very happy. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong? Aunt cousin, why do you have such a reaction when you see me?" Liang Jinfen and Su Xiaodi's mouths twitched a few times. They couldn't help but complain in their hearts. Zhao Yun'er is really... She still has the nerve to ask. Doesn't she remember what she did before? There was a saying that one shouldn't slap a smiling face. Zhao Yun'er was like this, so Liang Jinfen and Su Xiaodi couldn't treat her coldly. The corners of Zhao Yun'er's mouth curled up. She smiled and continued to ask, "Second aunt cousin, you won't still care about me now, right?" Liang Jinfen smiled embarrassedly. "Of course not." Zhao Yun'er's smile grew wider. "That's great." Su Xiaodi's face darkened. She pulled Liang Jinfen's hand. "Yun'er, my mother and I are going to buy meat to eat. We'll talk to you next time when we have time." Zhao Yun'er wouldn't let them leave so easily. She immediately said, "Cousin, why are you in such a hurry? There's plenty of meat in the meat stall." Su Xiaodi was struck dumb for a second. She didn't know what to say. What did Zhao Yun'er want to do? "Little girl Yun'er, what's there to talk about? If you have something to say, just say it. After that, your cousin and I can leave. We still have to cook when we get back. There's something." Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but sneer. "Aunt, no matter how anxious you are, you don't have to rush to cook, do you? Well, Yun'er, just tell me what you want to tell me. My Xiaodi is pregnant. She can't stand for too long or she'll be tired. Now that we're done shopping, we can go back and rest." Zhao Yun'er's sneer deepened. It seemed like this aunt of hers was really avoiding her. She even avoided her when she saw her. He wasn't willing to stay for such a short period of time. "If that's the case, then second aunt, I can't disturb you too much, right? Second aunt, actually, I just want to tell you something." "What is it?" Liang Jinfen asked. "Second aunt, did you know that Sister Ping is getting married?" Liang Jinfen nodded and said, "I know, of course I know. Didn't you tell your mother about this?" "I know. With little Ping's looks, it's her good fortune to be married off." After Liang Jinfen finished speaking, he realized that he had gone overboard. Unfortunately, she couldn't take back what she had said, so she simply shut her mouth and waited to see Zhao Yun'er's attitude. At this moment, Liang Jinxiao walked over and called out to Liang Jinfen, "Second sister." Liang Jinfen smiled as a form of greeting. Zhao Yun'er said, "Second aunt, since you know, why haven't you sent the money to my family? Eldest uncle, second uncle and youngest aunt have all sent money. Only second aunt hasn't sent money to your family." Liang Jinfen's expression changed slightly. Originally, she really didn't plan to send money, but she didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to actually bring it up. Now that she brought it up, she naturally couldn't refuse. Especially when her eldest sister was standing next to her. They were biological sisters, so it wasn't good to fall out with her. If this matter was exposed, she would definitely be the one to be criticized. Liang Jinfen was now full of complaints about Zhao Yun'er in his heart. Why was this little b***th so difficult to deal with? It was obvious that he was going to cause trouble. The someone else Liang Jinfen was talking about was Zhao Yun'er. Chapter 891. Liang Jinfen knew that he didn't have the money to buy so much, so he glared at the butcher angrily. "You're being unreasonable." The butcher was also angry. He wasn't a punching bag, so how could he let an unreasonable person make a scene? "You're saying that I'm being unreasonable? Who's the unreasonable one? Seriously? Should I call someone over to judge? I've been doing business for so many years, but I've never seen someone like this. This is really interesting." The owner of the meat stall was also muttering a lot. At this time, many people came over and began to watch what was going on. After figuring out what was going on, they began to mock and ridicule. I've seen thick-skinned people before, but I've never seen such a thick-skinned person. This was a new level of thick-skinned. After being ridiculed by the crowd, Liang Jinfan's face turned red with anger. Su Xiaodi couldn't stand it anymore. She felt uncomfortable being stared at like this. Most importantly, they were all in Yang City, so it was very likely that people familiar with them would see them. If people found out, they would definitely nag at her in-laws again. Her in-laws would definitely be unhappy and scold her again. Therefore, Su Xiaodi went forward and pulled Liang Jinfan away. Mom, forget it. It's just some pig liver. Don't fight, we can just buy it ourselves. Liang Jinfan grumbled in his heart. Xiaodi, it's different. You have to pay to buy it, but you don't have to pay if you give it to us for free. Su Xiaodi saw that Liang Jinfan didn't want to leave, so she said to Liang Jinfan, Mom, it's just 3 wens. We don't have to quarrel over 3 wens. Liang Jinfan was a little unwilling to give up. Alright Xiaodi, I'll listen to you. Let's go, Mom. Let's go back. Okay. Looking at Liang Jinfan and Su Xiaodi, both mother and daughter, leaving dejectedly, Zhao Yun suddenly felt refreshed. Only people who were more powerful than them could deal with such a weirdo. After shopping, Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao returned to the village. On the way he met a woman. Liang Jinxiao knew this woman. It was none other than Li Chuanying's mother, Mrs. Li. Old Madame Li walked on the road, panting. Looking at her, it seemed that she couldn't walk anymore. When Liang Jinxiao saw her, he called out to her, Auntie, are you looking for my second sister-in-law? Old Madame Li turned around and stared at Liang Jinxiao with her cloudy eyes. She smiled and said, Ah, isn't this the daughter-in-law of old Zhao's third branch? Liang Jinxiao smiled and said, Yes, Auntie. Ah, you're still riding a donkey? Give me a ride. My legs are almost broken. I really can't continue walking. If I continue walking, I won't be able to take it. As old Madame Li spoke, she walked towards Zhao Yuner's little donkey. Since old Madame Li said so, Liang Jinxiao naturally couldn't refuse. His sight fell on Zhao Yuner, and he said to Zhao Yuner, Yuner, look this. Liang Jinxiao naturally meant to bring old Lady Li. Looking at old Lady Li's appearance, she was really pitiful. After all, she was an old woman and her legs were not agile. It was very difficult for her to walk such a long distance. Now that they were 5 or 6 miles away from the village, it seemed that old Madame Li couldn't take it anymore. Chapter 892. Mother, there are already enough people in our carriage. I don't think we can fit all of them. It seems that Xiao Mao is having a hard time pulling the carriage. It's much slower today. Zhao Yuner's voice was neither loud nor soft, and old Lady Li happened to hear it. She immediately said to Zhao Yun, Little girl, I'm so pitiful. It's still so far away. If we really walk there, I don't know how long it will take. Will I lose half of my life? Liang Jinxiao frowned and asked, Yun, why don't we take it with us? But Xiao Mao can't pull so many people. Zhao Yun was also in a dilemma. She couldn't tire Xiao Mao out, could she? Although she sympathized with others, there were too many pitiful people in the world. She couldn't help every pitiful person she saw, right? When Zhao Yuner was hesitating, old Lady Li couldn't help but say, You can't leave me alone. I'm so pitiful. If you can't sit on the carriage, let the young man come down. He's a big man. It's okay for him to walk a little. The young man must remember to respect the old and cherish the young. Give the seat to me. After old Lady Li finished speaking, Zhao Yuner couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth. What kind of person was this? If they had suggested it, they wouldn't have thought it was a big deal, but they didn't expect old Lady Li to suggest it herself. Zhao Yuner had a feeling that she couldn't say it out loud. But on second thought, old Lady Li had such a strange daughter, Li Chuanying. It was normal for her to be strange. After old Lady Li finished speaking, the most embarrassed person was Zhao Tianhu. If old Lady Li hadn't said it, it would have been fine. After she said it, Zhao Tianhu felt that he couldn't sit still. If he occupied the seat and didn't leave, old Lady Li would definitely complain. Zhao Tianhu got down from the carriage and said to Zhao Yun, Sister Yun, I think I'd better get down and let Granny sit. Granny is right. I'm a big man. It's okay for me to walk a little. We are only 2 or 3 li away from the village. Zhao Tianhu took the initiative to give it up, so Zhao Yun naturally had nothing to say. Thus he nodded his head in response. Old Lady Li got into the car happily. He sat forward and even praised Zhao Tianhu, Young man, not bad, not bad. You know how to be filial to your elders. Zhao Tianhu smiled awkwardly. Second cousin will leave first. Zhao Yuner said to Zhao Tianhu. Zhao Tianhu nodded and replied, Okay, little sister Yuner, you guys go ahead. I'll walk back quickly. Zhao Yuner nodded and patted Xiao Mao's butt. Xiao Mao ran out like a wisp of smoke. On the way, old Madame Li couldn't stop talking. She kept talking non-stop. Alas, fortunately, I met you guys. Otherwise, I would have lost my life when I arrived at old Zhao's house. I'm so lucky. Ah. It must be God who pitted me, so he helped me to meet you guys. Sure enough, good people will be rewarded. Zhao Yuner stretched her ears to listen. She almost spat out a mouthful of blood when she heard old Lady Li's words. It was the first time that she had heard someone praise her like this. After old Lady Li finished speaking, she saw that no one in the car paid attention to her. She smiled embarrassedly, then pulled Liang Jinxiao's hand and said, "Of course, fortunately, I met you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to sit on the donkey." Liang Jinxiao smiled slightly. "Aunt, you're too polite." Chapter 893. Old Madame Li thought that if this donkey belonged to old Zhao's family, it meant that old Zhao's family had a lot of money. If they didn't have so much money, how could they have the spare money to buy a donkey? Although this donkey wasn't very expensive, it cost at least 2 or 3 taels of silver, which was not a small amount for a country bumpkin. Before Liang Jinxiao could answer, Zhao Yuner answered in advance. "Granny, this donkey was bought by my family." Old Madame Li frowned and said, "If it was bought by your family, isn't it bought by old Zhao's family? Do you know how to talk?" The corner of Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched. This old Madame Li was a little too much, wasn't she? If Zhao Yuner hadn't seen that old Madame Li was just an old woman who looked half dead now, she would have already hit her. She was afraid that old Madame Li would be unreasonable and blackmail her when the time came. Liang Jinxiao chuckled softly and explained to old Madame Li, "Auntie, you may not know, but our third branch has been separated from old Zhao's family." When old Madame Li heard that the third branch had been separated from old Zhao's family, she couldn't help but be a little surprised. "Ah, you've been separated?" Liang Jinxiao nodded and said, "Yes, we've been separated for a long time." Old Madame Li didn't know whether it was good or bad for the third branch to be separated. Old Zhao's family was doing well, so why didn't they separate? If they didn't separate, old Zhao's family would definitely live better together than the third branch living alone. Old Madame Li couldn't help but ask, "That eldest niece, your third branch has been separated, then what about myingzi? Has she also been separated?" Liang Jinxiao shook her head and said, "No, only our branch has been separated." When Liang Jinxiao said this, old Madame Li's curiosity was piqued. She continued to interrogate Liang Jinxiao. "Why? Why is it that your third branch is perfectly fine and has been separated out?" Zhao Yuner listened to old Madame Li's nagging and felt that it was too noisy. Why did this old woman talk so much and ask so many questions? Zhao Yuner's displeased voice rang out, "Mother-in-law, this is our old Zhao family's matter. What does it have to do with you why our third branch is separated?" Old Madame Li heard the displeasure and impatience in Zhao Yuner's tone, so she said to Zhao Yuner, "You child, aren't you just concerned about your family? Look at you, how can you speak to your elders?" Zhao Yuner couldn't help but roll her eyes. "Mother-in-law, you just need to care about your own family. You don't need to care about my family." After Zhao Yuner finished speaking, old Madame Li felt that her chest was stuffy. This wretched girl, really no one had ever spoken to her like this. Even if she was impatient, she wouldn't show it so obviously. Zhao Yuner's tone was full of obvious disgust. "Eldest niece, your lass really doesn't know the rules, doesn't she? I just care about her and ask her a few questions. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Why do you have such an attitude?" Liang Jinxiao felt that he was caught in the middle and was very sad. Old Madame Li was such a person, but Yuner was a person who couldn't bear to see annoying people. "Well, mother-in-law, Yuner is like this. Please don't mind her." Chapter 894. The smile on Liang Jinxiao's face was very awkward. Her actually only said a few words. It wasn't as bad as old Lady Li said. It wasn't to the point where no one wanted her as old Lady Li said. Zhao Yuner sighed deeply. She suddenly felt that Li Chuanying's temper was actually quite good. She probably only learned about half of old Madame Li's behavior and way of speaking. If she learned all of this, Zhao Yuner felt that old Zhao's family would definitely be in chaos. After Zhao Yuner sneered, she said to old Madame Li, "Granny, you don't have to worry about my affairs. At worst, I'll just stay at home for the rest of my life. Can't I live without a man?" Old Madame Li's frown deepened. She had always liked to compete with others. Zhao Yuner's rebuttal aroused old Madame Li's curiosity. Old Madame Li began to teach Zhao Yuner, "You little girl, you can't say that. Young people are not sensible. What the elderly say is right. You have to listen carefully. Let me tell you, there is no woman who won't marry unless she can't. If you stay at home to eat and drink, why should your parents support you for the rest of your life? Besides, you can't live off your parents for the rest of your life. When your parents pass away in the future, are you going to live with your brother? In the end, you have to have a child of your own. That way there will be someone to take care of you when you're old. Xiaoyuner felt that she was going to be sick of it. How could there be such a weirdo in this world? Could someone come out and take care of this weirdo? Xiaoyuner hated this kind of teaching the most. She was okay with being nagged by others, but she could not listen to it at all. Xiaoyuner really could not stand it anymore. She said to old Madame Li, "Granny, aren't you very tired? Why do you have the strength to say so much now? If you're not tired, then get off the car." Old Madame Li was not a fool. Xiaoyuner obviously disliked her for being too long-winded. Now she was threatening her. If she said one more word, she would be driven out of the car. How could old Madame Li have the strength to walk so far like this? She originally wanted to continue lecturing Xiaoyuner, but in the end she held it back. Fine, I'll take a rest. If he were to be chased off and continue to walk for another 5 to 6 miles, he might really lose his life. Soon Xiao Mao pulled them into the village. Old Madame Li breathed a sigh of relief. They had finally arrived. Now that she didn't have to worry about Xiaoyuner abandoning her, she stared at Xiaoyuner and asked, "Eldest niece, is this your eldest daughter? I remember that you have a birthmark on your face. You're so ugly. Why are you suddenly so good-looking? The birthmark on your face is gone." After old Madame Li finished speaking, Xiaoyuner didn't know whether she should laugh or be angry. This old woman liked to amaze people with her words. She really didn't understand. Couldn't she be more normal? Liang Jinxiao was very embarrassed. In fact, when others said that Zhao Pinger was ugly, she was very unhappy. No matter what, Zhao Pinger was her daughter. It was not up to others to say that. Liang Jinxiao cleared his throat and explained to old Madame Li, "Aunt, this is not my eldest daughter. She's my second daughter." Old Madame Li was silent for a while. What she said next almost made Xiaoyuner die of anger. "Oh, your second daughter?" Chapter 895. Is she the one who got pregnant out of wedlock? Alas, I was wondering why her temper was so weird. It turns out to be because of this. If she doesn't learn good things at such a young age, what will she do in the future? My dear niece, since she has done such a shameful thing, you should discipline her now. Old Lady Li's words were full of sarcasm. She couldn't wait to belittle Xiaoyuner. Xiaoyuner's eyes were filled with raging fire. She could tolerate it, but it didn't mean that she could tolerate it every time. She was simply asking for a beating in front of the old woman. Liang Jinxiao couldn't stand it anymore. She didn't like others to mention Xiaoyuner's past. Originally, Xiaoyuner's past was the past, but now it was opened again. It was too much. But she cared too much about her face, and old Lady Li was an elder, so she couldn't say anything. Xiaoyuner didn't care so much and scolded old Lady Li. "You old woman, if you dare to say one more word, believe it or not, I'll tear your mouth into pieces. You little girl, how can you be like this? You won't even say a word?" Xiaoyuner's mouth twitched for a moment. She looked at old Madame Li with cold eyes and said to old Madame Li, "Get out of the car." Old Lady Li was unhappy. "Really, we're about to arrive at old Zhao's house. Can't you take me back by the way? How dare you kick me out? Don't go too far." Xiaoyuner snorted. She went too far? Then she must have never seen her worst side. Since she said it politely, old Lady Li didn't want to get out of the carriage, she had to use a special method. Therefore, Xiaoyuner kicked in old Lady Li's direction. Old Lady Li fell out of the carriage directly. Xiaoyuner controlled her strength when she kicked, so that old Lady Li's bones wouldn't be broken, but it still hurt her. After old Lady Li fell out of the carriage, she heard a miserable cry. "My butt. It hurts so much." Xiaoyuner cursed in her heart. She deserved it. If he didn't teach her a lesson, this old woman wouldn't know what was good for her. Old Madame Li's cries continued. I'm afraid my old bones will be broken. How can there be such a cruel person? How inhumane." Old Madame Li's crying and yelling was probably to attract people over. Xiaoyuner thought that old Madame Li was most likely trying to use words to create momentum. Liang Jinxiao looked at Granny Li, who had fallen heavily on the ground, and was shocked. He hurriedly said to Xiaoyuner, "Yuner, I think I'd better help her up. She fell heavily and I think she'll make trouble for us." Liang Jinxiao was timid, but Xiaoyuner wasn't. Xiaoyuner pulled Liang Jinxiao and said, "Mother, just let her be. Don't worry about her. The more you care about her, the more she'll take advantage of you." Liang Jinxiao looked at Xiaoyuner, then looked at old Lady Li and finally sighed. Oh, fine. She still didn't help old Lady Li. Zhao Yun'er's words made sense. The more old Lady Li talked to her, the more she would stir up trouble. Zhao Yun'er drove the donkey to continue running, and didn't want to talk to old Lady Li at all. Old Madame Li looked at the carriage that had run far away and was completely stunned. The shouts that were originally coming from his mouth suddenly disappeared. What kind of person was she? Chapter 896. However, the car had already gone far away. It meant that it did not care if she lived or died. Old Madame Li was very upset. She had originally planned to ask Liang Jinxiao to get out of the car to check on her. Then she would lie on the ground, not move, pretend to be dead and ask for a sum of money. Now that the other party was ignoring her, what was the point of pretending? Old Madame Li angrily rubbed her painful buttocks and quickly got up from the ground while cursing. After crying out a few times, she continued walking in the direction of old Zhao's house. After her injuries were not light, she slowly vomited and walked for a while before reaching old Zhao's house. Old Madame Li thought that if she had known that it would be so miserable, she would not have mentioned Zhao Yun'er. If she had not mentioned it, she would not have suffered so much now. Zhao Yun'er's little donkey arrived at old Zhao's courtyard. Once she reached home, Zhao Yun'er saw the Xuanhuan family coming over. Zhao Yun'er guessed that they were most likely here to send the betrothal gifts. However, this family Qin was really generous to drag it out until today. These few days, Zhao Ping'er had been anxiously waiting at home, afraid that the family Qin people would not come over. Now that they finally came, Zhao Ping'er's originally worried heart finally settled down. Once she heard the commotion outside, Zhao Ping'er immediately jumped out and said to Liang Jinxiao excitedly, "Mother, Brother Yuan and the rest are here." After Zhao Yun'er heard that, her body could not help but tremble. The Zhao Ping'er was really quite disgusting. Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai also said to Liang Jinxiao, "Sister-in-law, we have been busy with some matters at home recently, so we came late." Liang Jinxiao smiled and said, "It's fine, it's fine. During the busy farming season, who doesn't need to be busy? It's fine as long as you guys can come now." Mu Chunfang smiled, looking a little embarrassed. "Sai, that's true, but it's our house after all. We shouldn't have come so late." "It's fine. Don't worry about it." Zhao Ping'er also agreed with a smile. "Yes, Auntie, you don't have to feel anything. Just like what my mother said, who has to be busy with every matter in the family." Mu Chunfang smiled with satisfaction and praised Zhao Ping'er. "Ping'er is really sensible." Zhao Ping'er smiled shyly. "Of course." At the same time, Zhao Ping'er looked at Qin Yuan shyly. She wanted to know what Qin Yuan was thinking. Since she was praised by Mu Chunfang, would Qin Yuan also think that she was very sensible? In the end, Zhao Ping'er was disappointed. Zhao Ping'er realized that Qin Yuan didn't even look at her. Instead, his eyes were looking somewhere else. Zhao Ping'er followed Qin Yuan's gaze and looked around. Finally, her gaze fell on her youngest aunt's house. Needless to say, Qin Yuan was staring at her youngest aunt's house. Jealousy suddenly welled up in her heart. Seriously, how could he be like this? Qin Yuan still had her youngest aunt in his heart. Could it be that this man didn't know that it was impossible between him and her youngest aunt? The person he was marrying today was her. As long as it was a woman, she wouldn't be able to tolerate a man having another woman in his heart. Zhao Ping'er was no exception. In the midst of her jealousy, Liang Jinxiao called out to Qin Shi's family, "Don't stand outside. Quickly come in and have a seat. Let's rest for a while." Zhao Ping'er quickly pulled Qin Yuan and said, "That's right, big brother Yuan. Let's go in. Why are we standing outside?" Chapter 897. Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai nodded. Qin Yuan was still unwilling to give up and glanced in the direction of Zhao Xinhui's room. He thought to himself, why hasn't Zhao Xinhui come out for so long? Even if I can't talk to Zhao Xinhui, it's good enough to just take a look at her. It was a pity that Zhao Xinhui didn't come out. Thinking that he might not be able to see Zhao Xinhui today, Qin Yuan felt a wave of disappointment in his heart. Qin Yuan saw Zhao Ping'er sticking close to him and tugging on his sleeve. He said to Zhao Ping'er unhappily, "Zhao Ping'er, stay away from me. Why are you sticking so close to me? Don't you know that men and women shouldn't touch each other?" Zhao Ping'er saw the disgust in Qin Yuan's eyes, and a trace of sadness flashed across her heart. She pouted in grievance and said to Qin Yuan, "Brother Yuan, this is nothing. We're going to be husband and wife in the future." Qin Yuan's face continued to darken. He said to Zhao Ping'er angrily, "Woman, You know that we're going to be husband and wife in the future. Since we're not now, then you have to stay away from us. Zhao Ping felt very wronged and responded with a sound of acknowledgement. She didn't dare to make Xuanhuan angry at all. It was almost time to get married and she couldn't afford to make any mistakes at this time. The Qin family went into the room, and Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao went to the kitchen to cook. When they started to cook, old Madame Li came back unsteadily. Li Chuiying saw old Madame Li and hurriedly went forward to ask, "Mother, why are you here?" Old Madame Li snorted softly and said, "I'm here to talk to you about something." "Mother, why are you looking for me?" Li Chuiying couldn't help but ask again. Old Madame Li waved her hand and said, "Let's not talk about this now. I can't even straighten my back. Hurry up and bring out a chair for me to sit on." Li Chuiying hurriedly asked when he saw old Madame Li crying out in pain. "Mother, what are you doing? How did it become like this?" Old Madame Li snorted softly. "Isn't it because of that good niece of yours? That kick almost crippled me. How could she treat an old person like that? That's too much. Ingzi, tell me, how can there be such a person in this world?" Li Chuiying thought about it. She only had a few nieces, and the only one her mother mentioned was Zhao Yun'er. Only Zhao Yun'er could be so heavy-handed. Li Chuiying asked carefully, "Mom, what's going on? Tell me slowly, I'm listening." Old Lady Li cried out a few times, then told Li Chuiying everything in detail. After hearing what Li Chuiying said, Liang Jinxiao almost spat fire. Zhao Yun'er, that Beatrice had gone too far. She was her mother after all. How could she be so heavy-handed? Didn't she care about her second aunt? Well, this was too much. As the saying goes, even if you want to hit someone, you still have to look at the owner. Zhao Yun'er obviously didn't care about her. Li Chuiying said to old Madame Li, "Mother, let's talk to her." Old Madame Li had the same idea, so she nodded in agreement. "Okay, that's fine. We can't take this lying down." As the mother and son spoke, they looked aggressive, as if they were going to get back at them today. Li Chuiying shouted in the direction of Zhao Yun'er's kitchen. "Zhao Yun'er, tell me, why did you kick my mother? My mother's bow was broken by you." Chapter 898. Zhao Yun'er continued to cut the vegetables calmly, as if nothing had happened. Zhao Yun'er comforted her mother calmly. "Mom, what are you afraid of?" Liang Jinxiao sighed. "Yun'er, your second aunt is difficult to deal with." Zhao Yun'er smiled and said to Liang Jinxiao, "Mom, it's not like we haven't dealt with my second aunt before. Why should we be afraid of her?" Liang Jinxiao knew that Zhao Yun'er must have thought of a way to deal with Li Chuiying when she was hungry. She thought that she shouldn't worry about it. Yun'er had never suffered any losses. Zhao Yun'er cut the potato into shreds, and after cutting it, she slowly walked out. Li Chuiying was already cursing in anger. She thought that Zhao Yun'er didn't want to come out, so she directly rushed in. Fortunately, Zhao Yun'er came out in the end. Li Chuiying came to Zhao Yun'er aggressively and questioned Zhao Yun'er. "Zhao Yun'er, how can you be so cruel at such a young age? How can you do this to an old woman like my mother?" After talking to Zhao Yun'er, Li Chuiying turned to Liang Jinxiao and whispered in Liang Jinxiao's ear, "Sister-in-law, you know about this too, don't you? You know very well what your Yun'er girl did, so I won't say it. Do you think it's okay for Yun'er to be like this? Shouldn't you give me an explanation? Don't say that I bullied her. You're too unreasonable this time." Facing Li Chuiying's aggressive face, Zhao Yun'er felt it was very funny. "Second aunt, what are you talking about? What's wrong with your mother? You little bitch, don't you want to admit it? Don't tell me you didn't do anything to my mother?" Li Chuiying suddenly became anxious and couldn't help but scold Zhao Yun'er. "Second aunt, please mind your words. Don't call me little bitch. Don't blame me if Shitzi comes over and tears your mouth apart." Zhao Yun'er warned her coldly. Li Chuiying was frightened by Zhao Yun'er's words. She was naturally afraid when Mu Lianfeng was mentioned. But she couldn't do whatever she wanted just because of Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yun, this little bitch was bullying people like this. If she didn't reason it out, wouldn't she secretly suffer this loss? Li Chuiying was silent for a while before saying, "Yun girl, don't always use the air to scare people. Even if the emperor breaks the law, he will be punished the same as the commoners. What's wrong with asking for an explanation when you bullied others? Isn't it your fault to bully others?" Zhao Yun'er hooked up the corner of her mouth and said, "Second aunt, you have to ask mother about this. I kindly brought her back, but she was still nagging and talking non-stop. My kindness was treated as ill intent and was eaten by others. I asked her to get out of the car, but she refused, so I could only kick her out." After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, Li Chuiying's face immediately darkened. This little b*tch kicking people is just kicking people. She actually came up with so many reasons. You're twisting words and forcing logic. Who's twisting words and forcing logic? Second aunt, if you're not convinced, you can go to the government and sue me. Anyway, I won't give you an explanation. Zhao Yun'er's arrogant attitude was to see what Li Chuanying could do to her. Li Chuanying gnashed her teeth in anger. Zhao Yun'er, this little bitch. If she went to the government and sued her, what would the result be? Chapter 899. Li Chuanying took a few deep breaths. Wasn't this too much? Wasn't this too much? Looking at Zhao Yun'er's complacent expression, Li Chuanying wanted to rush forward and tear Zhao Yun'er's face apart. Mrs. Li was also very angry. She instigated Li Chuanying, "Yingzi, why are you arguing with her? I think it's better to just go over and give her a few tight slaps." Mother. Li Chuanying looked at Mrs. Li with a bitter face. If she could slap her several times, she would have done so long ago. Seeing Li Chuanying in a daze without any reaction, Mrs. Li asked, "What's wrong? Yingzi, you're already an adult. You can't even beat a little girl, right?" "Mother, it's not that I can't beat her. I can't beat her." Mrs. Li was puzzled. "Why can't you beat her? Could it be that she's someone important?" "Mother, forget it. Let's go. I'll tell you slowly." Li Chuanying tugged at old Madame Li as she spoke. When Mrs. Li heard that Zhao Yun'er was Prince Shizi's woman, she scolded Li Chuanying. "Why didn't you tell me earlier if she's Prince Shizi's woman? Is your head filled with sh*t? Don't you want to live? How dare you mess with Prince Shizi's woman?" Li Chuanying pouted and said with grievance, "Mother, I'm going to argue with you. I can't let you suffer, right?" Mrs. Li snorted and poked Li Chuanying's forehead. She continued to scold Li Chuanying, "I said your head was filled with sh*t. You're really filled with sh*t. If it's someone else, you can argue with her. But she's Prince Shizi's woman. Why the hell are you arguing with her? If you can't argue with her, I'll lose my life because of you. You're so stupid." Li Chuanying felt very uncomfortable when he heard that. She was trying to help her mother out of kindness, but she ended up being ridiculed like this. "Mother, how can you say that about me?" Old Madame Li continued to snort coldly. "Why would I say that about you? I didn't hit you, so there's no mistake. He's one of the Crown Prince's men. You're so stupid. Why did you offend him? Don't you know how to please others? If anything happens in the future, you can still ask the Crown Prince for help. After all this trouble, it's already good that he didn't find trouble with you." Old Madame Li Chuanying scolded and glared at Li Chuanying as if she expected better from her. She continued, "Why did I raise such a silly daughter? It was no wonder that old Zhao still didn't like me after marrying him for so many years. Do you think your parents-in-law would like such a pig brain?" When Li Chuanying heard old Madame Li say that about her, she began to doubt her life. Was she really that bad? If old Madame Li wasn't her mother, she probably would have fought with her. No one had ever scolded her like that in her whole life. Old Madame Li was a little tired of scolding. She glared at Li Chuanying and said to Li Chuanying, all right, I won't scold you anymore. You're so stupid. The more you scold Li Chuanying, the angrier I get." "Mother?" Li Chuanying still wanted to say something, but she was interrupted by old Madame Li. "Go and get me a glass of water. I'm thirsty." Li Chuanying could only answer, "Oh mother, I'll get you a glass of water. Go." Old Madame Li waved her hand impatiently. Zhao Yun'er and Li Chuanying finished arguing, then turned back and went back to the kitchen to cook. Chapter 900. When the meal was almost ready, the men who had gone to work came back. Zhao Wenhua helped to take care of the Qin family. Zhao Wenhua was also very worried about Zhao Ping'er's marriage. He had been waiting for the Qin family to send the betrothal gifts, but after waiting for a long time, there was still no sign of them. He thought that the Qin family had given up on the marriage. If they had come a few days later, Zhao Wenhua felt that he would not have been able to control his temper and would have gone to the family Qin to ask if they did not want Ping'er anymore. He did not expect that the family Qin people would finally come today. His originally anxious heart finally calmed down. As long as the family Qin people came, everything would be fine. Once this marriage was set, his Ping'er would truly be married off. Zhao Wenhua was very polite and warm to Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai. "Hurry up and sit, don't just stand there." Zhao Wenhua saw that Mu Chunfang and Qin Dahai were standing and could not help but say this. Qin Dahai chuckled and replied, Sit, don't be so polite." Qin Dahai said. The men at the dining table looked at the Qin family curiously. Zhao Wenhua introduced them and said that the Qin family was their future in-laws. Su Yukai and Guiguizhen both greeted them warmly. Liang Jinxing and Liang Jinhui saw the Qin family's tattered clothes and knew that the family Qin was not well-to-do. They were poor, so they did not really like the in-laws. When the in-laws greeted them, they only gave a slight response. So this is Pinger's future in-laws? Yang Jinshun stared at the Qin couple and sized them up. The disdain in his heart grew stronger. He did not know if his brother and sister-in-law's brains were damaged. Why did they marry into such a family Qin? Did they not know that if they married into a poor family, they would only be a burden? She then looked at Xuanhuan. This child was not bad. He was good-looking, but he gave people the feeling that he was a pretty boy. At first glance, she could tell that he would not have any future prospects. Following such a person was just waiting for a lifetime of suffering. Seeing that Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshun didn't look happy, the family Qin people felt awkward. They thought that they had done something to make Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui unhappy. Therefore she hurriedly poked Xuanhuan and whispered into Xuanhuan's ear, "Child, why are you still in a daze? Hurry up and greet your eldest uncle and second uncle." Although Xuanhuan wasn't happy under the Qin couple's constant eye signals, he walked up to Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui and called out, "Eldest uncle, second uncle." Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui responded faintly. Zhao Pinger was immediately unhappy. She asked Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui, "Eldest uncle, second uncle, big brother Yuan is talking to you. Why are you ignoring him?" Zhao Pinger's angry look seemed to be criticizing Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui for having such an attitude. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinxiao coughed awkwardly. "We did. Why didn't we respond?" "Didn't we respond? But you didn't say anything." "Little Ping, then what do you think we should talk about? Isn't there nothing much to say?" Zhao Pinger pursed her lips. She still looked unhappy. Her eldest uncle and second uncle had made her speechless, but she was not satisfied. Chapter 901. Ping, little girl, you're wrong to say that. Your second uncle and I are also guests. Furthermore, how can they be as passionate as us elders? Shouldn't it be the younger generation being more passionate towards the elders? Liang Jinshun said. Xuanhuan saw that his daughter was about to make a fool of herself again and hurriedly interrupted. "All right, Pinger girl, what are you talking about?" "Father." Zhao Pinger looked at Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui angrily. What first uncle and second uncle? Her behavior made her big brother Yuan unhappy and she didn't know what to do. She hoped that Qin Yuan and Qin Yuan's parents wouldn't have anything in their hearts and wouldn't blame her. She didn't want this marriage to fall through and she wouldn't be able to get married. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui snorted coldly in their hearts. He was just a poor man. How passionate did he want them to be? What was the use of being passionate? It couldn't be eaten. They were already being polite if they didn't jump out and mock him. The Qin couple sat down awkwardly towards Zhao Wenxing and Zhao Wenhui's cold attitude. This feeling of being disliked was very uncomfortable. However, this wasn't the first time they had experienced such a situation. Because their family was poor, they had been scolded many times over the years. They often went to their relatives' houses and they all had this kind of attitude. Qin Yuan clenched his fists. He knew that Liang Jinxing and Liang Jinhui looked down on him. It didn't matter. So what if they looked down on him? When he was successful in the future and could earn money, he would definitely let these people who looked down on him know how wrong it was for them to look down on him back then. Of course, when that time came, they could only regret looking down on him back then. "Big brother Yuan, don't be angry. Sit down." Zhao Pinger pulled Qin Yuan. When she saw Qin Yuan's unhappy expression, she became abnormally nervous. Qin Yuan responded faintly. It was useless to be angry now. Looking down on him was still looking down on him. He could only use the facts in the future to prove it. However, when that day really came, it would be impossible for him to be together with this idiot Zhao Pinger. If he had the money, he would go directly to Zhao Xinhui and marry such a beautiful woman like Zhao Xinhui. Moreover, Zhao Xinhui had promised him that as long as he had the money, he would be willing. With this thought in mind, Qin Yuan was suddenly filled with fighting spirit. He had to be somebody. Not only did he want others to look down on him, but more importantly, he wanted to marry Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao quickly sat down to eat. Dishes were served one after another, beckoning everyone in the room to eat. This afternoon, Mu Lianfeng did not return. He was busy making a new batch of weapons. Zhao Yuner's method was really feasible. Mu Lianfeng wanted to see what kind of effect a weapon made of steel would have. Moreover, after the experiment, he still couldn't rest. He had to rush these weapons to the capital and send them to the emperor to see. After letting the emperor take a look, He could then determine whether this kind of weapon was qualified or not and whether it could be used on the battlefield. Zhao Yun'er specially left some food for Mu Lianfeng. After the meal, she would go up the mountain and send it to Mu Lianfeng. Anyway, it wouldn't take much effort. Smelling the aroma of the food, the few people in the room couldn't hold back and prepared to eat. For the few men who went to work, lunch was undoubtedly their happiest moment. After working for half a day, their stomachs were already growling from hunger. Chapter 902. Usually when they were at home, it was impossible to add 2 drops of oil to the dishes, let alone meat. Making a trip to Zhao Yun'er's house was equivalent to going to a restaurant. When it was time to eat, Xuanhuan's mood was quite good. Other than facing that idiot Zhao Ping'er, he felt that everything was fine. "Come, let's eat," Zhao Wenhua called out. The Qin family did not stand on ceremony and started eating. At the dining table, when Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui saw that the in-laws' family was wolfing down the food, they mocked them even more in their hearts. Poor people would always be poor. They were not presentable. One could tell just by looking at the way they ate. However, since it was not their own family, other than disdaining the Qin family, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui could not say anything else. At the dining table, when the Qin couple heard that Zhao Yun'er's family was building a house and even hired workers, they instantly had an idea. Mu Chunfang thought that working for Zhao Yun'er's family would not only pay them a salary every day, but they could also eat so much good food for lunch. Thinking about it, it was really not bad. If they ate like this every day, not only would they be able to earn a lot of money from this work, they would also be able to nourish their bodies. If they could eat such good food every day, their bodies would definitely be much stronger. Thus, Mu Chunfang could not help but say to Zhao Wenhua, "In-law, why didn't you ask my family to help you build a house? Yuan'er and Yuan'er's father can come over and help with the work." Zhao Wenhua smiled and said, "In-law, I appreciate your kindness, but your family definitely has work to do in the fields and is also busy. It wouldn't be good to ask you to come over." Mu Chunfang waved his hand and said, "Yuan'er's father can do the work at home. I can also help out. As for my family's Yuan'er, let him come if he can. In any case, he has nothing to do at home. It's good for him to come and help out." Zhao Wenhua was too embarrassed to ask the family Qin people for help, so he said to Mu Chunfang, "Forget it. If Yuan'er has nothing to do, just rest at home." Mu Chunfang insisted, "In-law, just let Yuan'er come. If Yuan'er comes, not only can he help with the work, he can also spend more time with Ping'er. When the two of them get married, their relationship will definitely be better." When Mu Chunfang said this, he was a little tempted. At the same time, he was a little embarrassed to refuse. "Father, just let big brother Yuan come over and help," Zhao Ping'er hurriedly said to Zhao Wenhua. After hearing Mu Chunfang's words, he felt excited for the time being. If Qin Yuan could come over and help with the work, she could see Qin Yuan every day. How happy would that be? Zhao Ping'er felt a little excited just thinking about it. Hence, Zhao Wenhua nodded and said, "All right then, let Yuan'er come over. It's just that it will be a little tiring." Zhao Wenhua looked at Qin Yuan's body and wondered if Qin Yuan could do much work. Mu Chunfang said with a smile, "It's fine. My family's Yuan'er is not afraid of hard work. He always fights to do the work at home. He also does the farm work quite well." Zhao Wenhua nodded and felt that he could not underestimate Qin Yuan. This child had also worked since he was young. Naturally, he could not be too bad. He might even do better than the average person if they let him go over. This was the so-called "you can't judge a book by its cover." Chapter 903. Since he had agreed to help his family, he naturally had to praise him. Zhao Yun'er listened from the side and was very curious in her heart. When did the Qin family become so diligent? They were so good that they were actually willing to let Qin Yuan come over to help her family with their work? However, Mu Chunfang's next few words almost made Zhao Yun'er vomit blood. Mu Chunfang said, "My in-law, my Yuan'er is helping out. You can just give him the same salary as the others. You don't have to give him more." When Mu Chunfang said others, he was referring to her eldest and second uncles, Su Yukai and Guiguizhen. Zhao Yun'er's chest was suffocated with a mouthful of blood, and she almost spat it out. This Mu Chunfang was really interesting. She was wondering why he had asked Qin Yuan to help out of the blue. They were not hard-working people. At this moment he finally understood. So this was what he had in mind. Zhao Yun'er was curious about how Mu Chunfang had the cheek to say all this. Did he really not think that there was anything wrong with it? They were going to be in-laws in the future, so it was inevitable that they would interact with each other often. Since Qin Yuan was Zhao Ping'er's future husband, Wasn't it natural for him to help her family? How could he have the cheek to ask for money? When xuanhuan heard this, he felt very awkward. It was hard to take back words that had been praised. If he had known that Xuanhuan was asking for money, he would definitely not have agreed to let Xuanhuan help out. This in-law of his, xuanhuan, was also unhappy, but he did not know what to say. After thinking about it, he decided to forget about it. After all, his family and family Qin would be in-laws in the future. Even if Xuanhuan could not do much work, he would just treat it as helping out the family Qin. After all, if the family Qin lived well, his Ping'er would not have to suffer too much. Xuanhuan did not say anything, but Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were not happy. They began to mock the family Qin people. This brat, how much work can he do? Let's not talk about the fact that he's my brother-in-law's future son-in-law. Even if he's not, his salary shouldn't be the same as ours. Isn't this clearly taking advantage of her? As Liang Jinshun spoke, Liang Jinhui followed behind and agreed, that's right. How can it be the same as ours? We've done a lot of work and we're skilled. He's just a weak young man. At most, he'll just be an assistant. How could you say something like that? The Qin family's faces turned red from Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui's words. Mu Chunfang thought, isn't it normal to be paid for work? Since Zhao Wenhua wanted to use the money to hire an outsider, he might as well hire Yuan Heir to do it. This would be good for the family and not benefit others. She didn't know why Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui said that. When Zhao Wenhua saw the Qin family's awkwardness, he hurriedly came out to mediate. He also did not want to embarrass the family Qin and prevent the two families from becoming too awkward. Zhao Wenhua said, all right, eldest uncle, second uncle, don't say any more. It's fine if Yuan Heir comes to help. Just treat it as letting Yuan Heir train. It'll be good in the future if he knows more now. After all, this was Zhao Wenhua's family matter. It was not good for Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui to interfere too much. What the in-law said is right. Let Yuan Heir follow behind to learn more things and become more capable. When our family Qin becomes wealthy, Ping-er won't have to suffer too much when she marries over. Mu Chunfang hurriedly continued Zhao Wenhua's words. Chapter 904. If it weren't for his family's Ping-er, he wouldn't have compromised so quickly. Zhao Wenhua was now faintly worried in his heart. Just how was this family Qin's character? If they became unkind in the future, it would be really tiring to continue dating them. He didn't really care about whether they were poor or not. The main thing was the character of the other party's family members. Zhao Wenhua sighed slightly in his heart. It was useless to think about all these now. His family's Ping-er and Qin Yuan's marriage had already been set. It was definitely impossible for them to return at this time. Furthermore, his family's Ping-er had such an attitude of wanting to get married. If he raised an objection at this time and said to postpone the marriage, he reckoned that Zhao Ping-er would make a fuss with him. Now he could only look to the future and hope that at least Qin Yuan wouldn't disappoint him. After lunch, the Qin family didn't stay at Zhao Yun'er's house for long. Instead, they went back. When Qin Yuan was about to leave, Zhao Ping-er looked at him with a reluctant expression. When Zhao Yun'er saw this, she couldn't help but want to give her a few slaps. Fortunately, they were at home and no one saw it. If they were seen outside, who knew what they would say about their old Zhao family's daughter? Zhao Yun'er didn't want to be implicated by Zhao Ping-er because she was the same as Zhao Ping-er. Zhao Ping-er tugged at Qin Yuan and looked at Qin Yuan reluctantly. She said, Big brother Yuan, are you leaving so soon? Qin Yuan glanced at Zhao Ping-er's face. He clutched his chest and nearly vomited. He said to Zhao Ping-er somewhat unhappily, didn't you see that my parents said they were leaving? Could it be that I'm going to stay here alone? Zhao Ping-er looked at Qin Yuan very reluctantly. Big brother Yuan. It's not like you can't stay behind by yourself. You can leave later. Qin Yuan looked at Zhao Ping-er with disgust. It was said that ugly people were more mischievous. Qin Yuan felt that this saying was very appropriate when applied to Zhao Ping-er. Wasn't she afraid that he would vomit if he saw her ugly face? What time is later? If I go back with my parents, we can keep each other company. If I stay here, won't I have to go back alone? Qin Yuan said coldly. Seeing that Qin Yuan wasn't happy, Zhao Ping-er pouted and said, all right then. Big brother Yuan, go back then. Slow down. Qin Yuan responded faintly, got it? You're so long-winded. Qin Yuan followed the Qin couple out of old Zhao's courtyard. Zhao Ping-er looked at Qin Yuan's back view anxiously. She was a little worried. When Zhao Yun'er saw Zhao Ping-er's anxious look, she couldn't help but complain, Big sister Ping-er, your family has already left. What are you still looking at? Even if you keep looking, you can't bring them back. Zhao Ping'er turned around angrily and glared at Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun, what does it have to do with you whether I look or not? You're so talkative. You look so eager, others will definitely laugh at you if they see you. I'm just reminding you. Zhao Yun'er's mouth softly mocked. Who asked you to remind me? Zhao Ping'er glared at Zhao Yun'er angrily. Treating my good intentions as ill intent. Don't be hypocritical, Zhao Yun'er. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? You can't wait for me to make a fool of myself. Zhao Ping'er said with a pout. I'm innocent, big sister Ping'er. Since when am I that kind of person? You're my biological sister. How am I hypocritical towards you? Chapter 905. Zhao Yun'er laughed bitterly. Did Zhao Ping'er have any conscience? If it weren't for her, she probably wouldn't have been able to get married. She wouldn't have been able to lead such a carefree life. Sister Ping'er, you're too heartless. If I hadn't agreed to lend father and mother money so that you could have so much dowry when you get married, would the xianhuan have married you? You mustn't forget that. Zhao Yun'er sneered. Zhao Ping'er saw the dangerous atmosphere in Zhao Yun'er's smile and didn't dare to say anything. Zhao Ping'er was afraid that if she made Zhao Yun'er unhappy, Zhao Yun'er wouldn't lend her father and mother money. Then what would happen to her dowry? Anyway, she wouldn't lose anything if she didn't say anything. At most, she would let Zhao Yun'er gloat. Humph, I'm not talking to you. Zhao Ping'er said angrily and went to Liang Jinxiao's side. Liang Jinxiao was checking the betrothal gifts sent by the family Qin. Just now, the family Qin was around and everyone was eating, so it wasn't convenient for her to check. After Liang Jinxiao saw it, she couldn't help but sigh. The betrothal gifts were all indispensable things, but they didn't seem to be prepared for leave. Moreover, the gifts were obviously of inferior quality and were bought at the cheapest price. However, what else could she say? It was lucky that the family Qin could come. She couldn't argue with the family Qin just because of the betrothal gifts. Seeing Liang Jinxiao sigh, Zhao Yun'er went forward and asked, Mother, what's the matter? Sigh, it's nothing. It's just that the gifts given by Ping'er's in-laws are cheap and a little shabby. Generally, the betrothal gifts given by the in-laws represent how much they value their future daughter-in-law. The more important you are, the more generous the betrothal gifts will be. Liang Jinxiao's words were self-evident. Since the family Qin only sent such a small betrothal gift, it was obvious that they did not take Zhao Ping'er seriously. Zhao Yun'er came forward and looked at the betrothal gifts on the table. After reading it, she was speechless. What kind of gift was this? They actually had the nerve to send it over and then freeload a meal at their house. Zhao Yun'er suddenly had a very disgusting feeling. Hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, Zhao Ping'er was a little unhappy. Mother, how can you say that? It was fine as long as her two elder brothers sent these things over. Their family was poor and couldn't afford many things, so it was fine if they didn't send anything over. It's definitely not because he doesn't value me. Liang Jinxiao did not want to refute Zhao Ping'er's words. If he did, Zhao Ping'er would probably be sad. Actually, in the countryside, marrying a wife was not such a simple thing. Even if a poor family wanted to marry a wife, if the family did not have money, they would borrow some money from their relatives. They would definitely not send such a shabby betrothal gift. After all, this concerned the family's reputation and how much they valued their future daughter-in-law. Liang Jinxiao could only comfort himself now. It was because the family Qin was too poor that they could only send such a gift. They could not be too calculative with the family Qin. It was his family Qin's fault for not being good-looking, so much so that it did not matter if Zhao Ping'er was married or not. Yes, Ping'er, you're right. Our family doesn't lack that little money. It's fine as long as there's a formality, Liang Jinxiao said. Chapter 906. Zhao Yun'er didn't know what to say about Zhao Ping'er. Did this woman say that she was stupid or stupid or stupid? She didn't have any brains at all. She didn't even take him seriously, but he was always thinking about Xuanhuan. She wanted to know what Zhao Ping'er's life in the family Qin would be like after she got married. Mother, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first, Zhao Yun'er said. After she went back, she still had to go up the mountain to deliver food to Mu Lianfeng. Liang Jinxiao nodded and replied, Yun'er, you can go back. There's nothing else here. Okay. Zhao Yun'er was just about to go out when she saw Zhao Tianan coming back. He was holding a bouquet of red and green flowers in his hand. They were very beautiful. Zhao Tianan was so flustered that he almost bumped into Zhao Yun'er. Tianan, where did you go? Why didn't I see you at lunch? Zhao Yun'er asked. Second sister. I had something to do. Zhao Tianan stuttered and finally spat out these words. Then hurry up and eat now. Fortunately your mother left some food for you. Otherwise you'd be hungry. Thank you, mother and second sister. Zhao Tianan lowered his head and felt a little guilty. Zhao Yuna looked at her younger brother and guessed that Zhao Tianan must have done something bad, but she didn't want to expose him. Hey child, no matter what you did, you shouldn't have come back so late at noon. Liang Jinxiao nagged. Today, because there were guests at home, he couldn't spare so much attention. Otherwise he would have gone out to look for him. Zhao Tianan muttered, Mother, aren't I back now? I won't do it again. Liang Jinxiao sighed and did not say anything more about Zhao Tianan. I'll go to the kitchen to heat up the food for you, Liang Jinxiao said. Yes, thank you, mother. Liang Jinxiao couldn't help but shake her head. You're too much. Why are you being so courteous with your mother? Mother? All right. Don't talk about it anymore. Let's cook. Mother will heat it up and the food will be ready very quickly. Eating so late, you must be hungry, right? After Liang Jinxiao finished nagging, she walked out of the third room and went into the kitchen to heat up the dishes. Zhao Tianan's eyes darkened. In fact, he didn't want to come back so late, but he had been helping out on the family's land in the morning. He couldn't spare any time at all, so he could only wait until the work was done before going out. Now they were ready to eat. After eating, they would return to work on the land. The wildflowers were picked by him during this period of time. Ah, Tianan, the flowers in your hands are so beautiful. Zhao Ping saw the flowers in Zhao Tianan's hands and exclaimed loudly. She rushed to Zhao Tianan in surprise and took the flowers from Zhao Tianan's hands. Looking at the flowers, she didn't know where Zhao Tianan had picked them. They were red and green and looked very beautiful. Zhao Ping picked another flower and pinned it to her ear. She thought it was beautiful and began to admire it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Zhao Yun'er was so disgusted by Zhao Ping that she almost vomited blood. Didn't this woman have any self-awareness? Didn't she know what she looked like? The flowers were so funny when pinned to her ear. Chapter 907. Zhao Tianan blushed and stammered to Zhao Ping Big sis, those flowers aren't for you. Zhao Ping looked at Zhao Tianan with some doubt. I heard that you picked these flowers back. If they aren't for me, then who are they for? Don't tell me that a boy like you likes these little flowers and grass. Aha, maybe only girls like them. Being teased by Zhao Ping like this, Zhao Tianan's face turned even redder. Big sis, those flowers aren't for me nor are they for you. They're for Xiaofeng. Big sis, can I trouble you with something? Can you help me give these flowers to Xiaofeng? Can you tell Xiaofeng not to be angry with me? She really misunderstood me. After the last incident, Zhao Tianan went to find Ma Xiaofeng to explain, but Ma Xiaofeng didn't listen and just ignored him. Because of this, Zhao Tianan was very sad. Now he had to think of a way to make Ma Xiaofeng forgive him and not be angry with him. After thinking about it, Zhao Tianan felt that he had to please the girl. Girls all liked flowers, so Zhao Tianan picked a lot of flowers back. If he gave them to Ma Xiaofeng, maybe Ma Xiaofeng wouldn't be angry with him when she saw them. Hearing Zhao Tianan say this, Zhao Ping smiled and said, I knew it. So you're giving them to Xiaofeng. But Tianan is busy, so I can't help you. You have to give them to her yourself. Big sis, Xiaofeng is ignoring me. If I give them to her, Xiaofeng definitely won't accept them. Zhao Ping patted Zhao Tianan on the shoulder and said, Tianan, don't worry about this. Don't worry, it won't happen. Xiaofeng is a good person. You just have to coax her well. In the end, it's your fault for making Xiaofeng angry. Zhao Tianan was a little disappointed and nervous. All right then, big sister, I'll send it over myself. Seeing this, Zhao Yun'er had an indescribable feeling. Forget it, she couldn't be bothered to care about it anymore. She turned around and walked out of old Zhao's house with Zhao Yun'er, heading up the mountain. Soon they arrived at Mu Lianfeng's tent. They saw that Mu Lianfeng was busy with something with his head lowered. Seeing Zhao Yun'er coming over, Mu Lianfeng hurriedly put away the things in his hands. Yun'er, you're here? Zhao Yun'er nodded. Yes, I'm bringing you food. Are you hungry? Thank goodness. I'm not hungry. Mu Lianfeng smiled. Zhao Yun'er felt that this guy must have been too busy, so he didn't even know that he was hungry. Hurry up and eat. Even if you're not hungry, you should eat more. Zhao Yun'er opened the lunchbox and a fragrant aroma floated out. Okay. Mu Lianfeng responded very obediently. After a while, Mu Lianfeng wolfed down the food. He still said that he wasn't hungry. Even if he wasn't hungry, he could eat like this. Zhao Yun'er really had to hand it to him. After eating, Mu Lianfeng elegantly wiped the corners of his mouth and said to Zhao Yun'er, Yuner, I might need to leave Shuilan village for a few days. Leave for a few days? Seeing the confusion in Zhao Yuner's eyes, Mu Lianfeng explained, Yes, Yuner. After this weapon is made, I have to show it to the emperor. I'll personally deliver it to him. Zhao Yuner nodded. Since he was going to do business, she naturally wouldn't say anything. She only reminded Mu Lianfeng, Go quickly and come back quickly. Be careful on the road. Chapter 908. Mu Lianfeng was most worried about Zhao Yuner and Daodu when he was away for a few days. A woman and a child, they were simply too weak to even truss up a chicken. If the Prime Minister does something to Zhao Yuner and Daodu at this time, and he is not around, what should he do? Therefore Mu Lianfeng's heart was on tenterhooks when he knew that he would be away for a few days. He was afraid that something would happen to Zhao Yuner and Daodu. He had a group of secret guards in his hands that he usually did not mobilize. This time, in order to ensure the safety of Zhao Yuner and Daodu, he had to mobilize these secret guards to protect Zhao Yuner. Even so, he could not be completely at ease. He only hoped that this matter could be settled as soon as possible so that he could return as soon as possible. I know, don't worry. I will take good care of Daodu. Don't worry about us, take care of your own safety. Zhao Yuner also reminded Mu Lianfeng. Compared to him, Mu Lianfeng was even more dangerous. Every time he would be accidentally injured by others. This time she could not accompany him. If Mu Lianfeng encountered any harm, she would not be able to appear by his side in time to save him. However, Mu Lianfeng, before you leave, you have to help me do something. Mu Lianfeng raised his eyebrows. He asked curiously, Because you want me to help you do something? Zhao Yuner hesitated for a moment. This sentence was not easy to say. After a moment of hesitation, Zhao Yuner finally whispered it in Mu Lianfeng's ear. Mu Lianfeng heard it and coughed slightly. He thought that Zhao Yuner did not know about this matter. He did not expect that Zhao Yuner knew more than him. Mu Lianfeng nodded and responded, All right, Yuner, I will pass down the instructions. Okay. After delivering lunch, Zhao Yuner went back from the mountain. When she passed by Ma Xiaofeng's house, she saw Zhao Tianan and Ma Xiaofeng standing together. Ma Xiaofeng took the flowers in her hands. Judging from their posture, they did not continue to be at odds with Zhao Tianan. However, at this time, Chen Xuanxiu suddenly came back. When she saw Zhao Tianan and Ma Xiaofeng's affectionate appearance, she put her hands on her hips and scolded, Damn girl, how many times have I told you? Don't get involved with old Zhao's family. Why don't you use your brain? You just don't listen to me? It's right in front of our house. Aren't you afraid of being seen and gossiped? After scolding Ma Xiaofeng, Chen Xuanxiu glared fiercely at Zhao Tianan. And you come to my house every day to seduce my Xiaofeng. Aren't you afraid that you'll ruin my Xiaofeng's reputation? Ma Xiaofeng stood timidly in front of Chen Xuanxiu, afraid that Chen Xuanxiu would slap her. She was scared of Chen Xuanxiu all these years. Mother, Tianan and I are not what you think. If it's not what I think, then what is it? You know how to seduce men at such a young age. What will happen in the future? Damn girl, I think you've implicated me. People will gossip about me. See how I deal with you later. As Chen Xuanxiu spoke, she poked Ma Xiaofeng's forehead. Ma Xiaofeng was hurt by Chen Xuanxiu's poke. She bit her lower lip and tears welled up in her eyes. Her mother even said that she was seducing men. She didn't know who was seducing men. She was clearly still in an improper relationship with Zhao Wenshui, but now she was talking about her. Chapter 909. However, what could she do? She could only be scolded by his mother, but she could not scold his mother. Although Zhao Yuner stood a little far away, he still heard Chen Xuanxiu's words. He felt that what Chen Xuanxiu said was quite reasonable. It seemed that Chen Xuanxiu knew his daughter very well. When Zhao Tianan saw Ma Xiaofeng being reprimanded and bullied by Chen Xuanxiu, he felt very uncomfortable in his heart. It was all because of him that Ma Xiaofeng was implicated. Zhao Tianan thought about it and finally summoned up the courage to say to Chen Xuanxiu, Auntie, I like Xiaofeng very much. You stinking brat, how dare you say this in front of me? Do you want to ruin my Xiaofeng's reputation? Do you want my Xiaofeng to get married in the future? Let me tell you, don't casually come and provoke my Xiaofeng. The next time I see you come over, see if I don't have a good talk with your parents. Do you still want to have a little face? A young man coming over all day to find my girl? Zhao Tianan knew that because of the previous incident, Chen Xuanxiu could be said to be the kind of person who did not have any contact with old Zhao's family. Of course, he was also not liked by Chen Xuanxiu. I like Xiaofeng, so I want to marry Xiaofeng. If I marry Xiaofeng, I won't be afraid that Xiaofeng's reputation will be tarnished. Auntie, I am a responsible person. I won't let Xiaofeng be wronged. I want to marry Xiaofeng. Although Zhao Tianan stuttered, it was the first time he summoned up the courage to say such words in front of Chen Chuanxiu. After saying that, Zhao Tianan's whole face turned red. He looked at Chen Chuanxiu nervously to see what kind of reaction Chen Chuanxiu would have. After hearing that, Chen Chuanxiu was stunned, and then she began to mock and ridicule. You want to marry my Xiaofeng? No way. My Xiaofeng is so beautiful. Are you afraid that you can't find a good family? A trace of disappointment flashed in Zhao Tianan's eyes, but in the end he was unwilling to give up on Ma Xiaofeng so easily. Therefore he continued to say to Chen Chuanxiu, Auntie, is it really impossible to marry Xiaofeng to me? Xiaofeng and I are kindred spirits. If you can marry Xiaofeng to me, I will treat Xiaofeng well in the future, and I will also be filial to you. Chen Chuanxiu sneered, what kindred spirits? When did my Xiaofeng say that she likes you? You shameless person, don't slander my Xiaofeng. If people spread rumors in the village, I'll teach you a lesson. Zhao Tianan suddenly felt a little discouraged. This wouldn't work and that wouldn't work. Could it be that he couldn't get Ma Xiaofeng back? However, other than Ma Xiaofeng, he didn't want to marry anyone else. Auntie, I'm begging you. I really like Xiaofeng. Zhao Tianan said. He was so emotional that he cried. He wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes and looked at Zhao Yun. He almost vomited blood. Did this younger brother of his have any future prospects? It was just a woman and the future was uncertain. Now he was crying first. Chen Chuanxiu was also somewhat baffled by Zhao Tianan's reaction. She felt that Zhao Tianan was too exaggerated. Even if he liked her daughter, it shouldn't be to this extent. Frowning slightly, Chen Chuanxiu thought for a moment and said, if you want to marry my Xiaofeng, then tell your parents to bring 50 taels of silver as a betrothal gift. Bring it over and I will marry my Xiaofeng girl to you. Chapter 9-10. He felt that if he were to marry into old Zhao's family, especially the third branch with Zhao Yun'er's annoying older sister, he would not be welcomed by Zhao Tianan. Therefore in her heart she had never thought of marrying Ma Xiaofeng to Zhao Tianan. No matter what, she had to anger the people in old Zhao's third branch. If her own daughter were to marry him, then all the anger she had suffered before would have been in vain. Now that this person said that he wanted the other family's Xiaofeng's daughter, if Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao really took out 50 taels of silver, she would not mind marrying her daughter off. After all, 50 taels of silver could let their family live a good life. Now that she said this, it sounded more like extortion. When Zhao Tianan heard that Chen Chuanxiu actually asked for 50 taels of silver, he was instantly stunned. 50 taels of silver was not a small amount, and it was not something that could be casually taken out. Yesterday he found out that their family was living a better life now than before. However, it was not easy for his second sister and parents to earn money. His family was building a house and his eldest sister was getting married, so they had to spend a lot of money during this period. Now, where would they have the money to marry a wife for him? It would be fine if she asked for less, but the main thing was that Chen Chuanxiu actually asked for 50 taels of silver. Seeing Zhao Tianan's dilemma, she knew that Zhao Tianan definitely could not take out the money, so Chen Chuanxiu snorted coldly and urged Zhao Tianan, hurry up and leave, hurry up and don't loiter in front of my house. Since you can't take out the 50 taels of silver, what's the point of talking about it? I'm telling you, stop staring at my Xiaofeng. Zhao Tianan was extremely anxious. What should he do now? Chen Chuanxiu was not going to marry Ma Xiaofeng to him. Why are you still standing in front of my house? Hurry up and leave, hurry up and leave. As Chen Chuanxiu spoke as if she was afraid that Zhao Tianan would not leave, she used her cloth shoes to whip Zhao Tianan's body. Zhao Tianan gasped and could only leave Xiaofeng's courtyard. When he left, his face was filled with disappointment. Zhao Yun'er looked at the situation and couldn't help but snort coldly in her heart. This Chen Chuanxiu was really interesting. Did she really think that her daughter was worth 50 taels of silver? He didn't know how to ask. Now, with Chen Chuanxiu making things difficult for him and not letting his family say anything, her younger brother had to give up on this idea. Zhao Yun'er thought so, and her mood was a lot better. Zhao Yun'er first sent the lunch box back, then went to her cousin Zhao Xi's house. This time he didn't go to find Zhao Xi. It was because Zhao Xi's wife, Nian, wanted to help him. Nian had just returned from the mountain not long ago. When she saw Zhao Yun'er, she chuckled and supported her. Yun'er, you're here? Yes. Zhao Yun'er nodded and replied with a smile. Nian hurriedly greeted Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er, come in and have a seat. Because of Zhao Yun'er, Nian could get a good salary every month, so she was very grateful to Zhao Yun and became more enthusiastic now. Zhao Yun'er waved her hand and said to Nian, "It's okay, sister-in-law. I don't have anything to do. I'll go back after I'm done." However, Nian grabbed Zhao Yun'er and stopped her from leaving. She nagged at Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, it's not easy for you to come to my house. Why are you leaving so soon? Let's take a seat and have a chat." Chapter 9:11. Sure. We'll just talk for a while, said Nian smilingly. Zhao Yun'er and Nian Shi entered the house together. In her previous life, Nian Shi poured water for Zhao Yun'er and brought Zhao Yun'er some peanuts and melon seeds for Zhao Yun'er to eat. Zhao Yun'er had never been treated with such hospitality. Looking at the sincere smile on Nian Shi's face, Zhao Yun'er smiled. Zhao Yun'er knew that the reason why Madame Nian was so attentive was because she had introduced her to a good job. Zhao Yun'er sighed. Why was there such a huge difference between people? Some people would be grateful if she helped them, but some people would rather not help them. They were heartless and ungrateful. Zhao Yun'er munched on the melon seeds while telling Nian Shi about her request. Hearing that, Nian Shi nodded, patted her chest and said to Zhao Yun'er, "All right Yun'er, I got it. Don't worry, I'll get it done for you." "Thank you, cousin-in-law." "Ah Yun'er, why are you being so polite with me?" Zhao Yun'er laughed heartily and said, I won't be polite with you then, cousin-in-law." After eating the melon seeds, Zhao Yun'er stood up to leave. Nian Shi didn't ask her to stay. As soon as she came out of Nian Shi's house, Zhao Yun'er saw Zhao Si and Lu Lei walking over from a distance. Zhao Si had something to do at home, so she asked Lu Lei to help her. There were many men in the village who knew how to work, but only a few of them were close to Zhao Si. Asking Lu Lei, who was familiar with her, to help her make things easier. Zhao Yun'er felt that she hadn't seen Lu Lei for a long time. Seeing him suddenly made her feel a little awkward. However, looking at the smile on Lu Lei's face, she guessed that he had been living well recently. Zhao Si and Lu Lei chatted as they walked. As soon as she raised her head, she saw Zhao Yun'er. Lu Lei felt a little guilty. Lu Lei wasn't sure if Zhao Yun'er was angry at him for carrying xuanhuan on his back. Therefore, when he saw Zhao Yun'er again, Lu Lei did not know how to face her. Zhao Yun'er did not take this matter to heart. If Lu Lei really got together with xuanhuan, she would not be able to stop them. After all, since she had rejected him, it was his freedom to choose who he wanted. She wasn't so shameful as to treat him as a spare tire. Fourth brother Zhao brother lazy. Zhao Yun'er stepped forward and greeted them naturally. "Yun'er, you're here." Zhao Si also smiled. Zhao Si looked at the stunned Lu Lei and patted him. "Lu Lei, what are you thinking about? Yun'er greeted you, but you didn't even respond." Lu Lei snapped back to his senses and hurriedly greeted Zhao Yun'er. "Yun'er, why are you at Zhao Si's house?" "I came over to trouble my cousin-in-law with something." "I see. Okay, then you guys go ahead. I'll leave first." Zhao Yun'er smiled and greeted them. With that, Zhao Yun'er turned and walked away. Looking at Zhao Yun'er's back, Lu Lei was in a daze for a moment again. Yun'er smiled at him just now? Did he see wrongly? He thought that Zhao Yun'er would never talk to him again, but he did not expect that Zhao Yun'er would still smile at him. Seeing Lu Lei's reaction, Zhao Si sighed slightly. He patted Lu Lei's shoulder and said to him, "All right, she's already gone far away. What are you still looking at?" Lu Lei blushed slightly. I wasn't looking at anything." Chapter 9:12. Being stared at by Zhao Si, Lu Lei felt even more guilty. What was he looking at? He was just looking at Zhao Yun'er. He clearly knew that it was impossible between him and Zhao Yun'er, but as soon as he saw Zhao Yun'er, he couldn't help but be attracted to Zhao Yun'er. His gaze couldn't help but fall on Zhao Yun'er. After looking, Lu Lei felt that he couldn't take his eyes off her. Zhao Si sighed. "Lu Lei, as a brother, I have to tell you that Yun'er belongs to the prince. You'd better not think about her. It's impossible between you and her." Lu Lei lowered his head and his eyes darkened. He nodded to Zhao Si. "Brother Zhao Si, I know what you're talking about, so you don't have to say anything to me. I don't have any thoughts about Yun'er now." Zhao Si nodded. "It's good that you don't have any thoughts. We're all useless people. We just have to live with others honestly." Yes. Speaking of this, Zhao Si thought of xuanhuan and asked with concern, "Lu Lei, how are things going between you and xuanhuan? Seeing how xuanhuan runs to your house all day, you two should be almost done, right?" Lu Lei nodded and then shook his head. Although xuanhuan had been taking care of him these days, marriage was not a game. He couldn't just agree like that. If he regretted it in the future, he wouldn't have the chance to regret it. Anyway, he had been single for so many years. He didn't care if he continued to be single. Lule, what do you mean? Is it okay or not? I don't know either. Let's think about it again. I have to think about it carefully. If I get married, I'll have to be responsible for the girl for the rest of my life. This isn't a joke. Xiaoxi agreed with this point. Yes, after getting married, we men will have a lot of responsibilities. But Lule, you're not young anymore. The children of your age in our village are all quite old. You're still single now. It's not enough for every woman in the family to take care of you. As long as you find a suitable one, it'll be fine. As long as women can take care of the family and give birth, it's fine. Lule knew that Xiaoxi was concerned about him, so he agreed. Xiaoxi patted Lule's shoulder and comforted him. Actually, it's not easy for ordinary people like us to be with the person we like. In the end, the girls we find are all arranged by our families. So, you don't have to think too much about it. In the future, you will realize that marrying a woman you like or not is the same. Xiaoxi's words fell into Nian's ears. Hearing Xiaoxi's words, could it be that her husband had a girl he liked before? But in the end it didn't work out, so he casually married her? Nian suddenly felt very sad. Why did this happen? Xiaoxi had always treated her well and was very responsible for the children at home. But she never thought that the man she had been with for 7 or 8 years had once had another woman in his heart. Nian felt uneasy and uncomfortable, but she didn't dare to ask Xiaoxi about it. She bit her lower lip and endured the grievance. She had to find out who her husband liked in the past. If she was still in the village, she had to prevent her husband from meeting that woman. After all, it was easier for a man to fall in love with a woman he once liked. Chapter 9:13. Xiaoxi didn't give Lule any pressure. Take your time to think about it. I think it's a good idea for you to marry Xuanhuan. Okay, the two of them arrived in front of Xiaoxi's house. Xiaoxi called Lule over because he wanted to renovate the wall of his house. Because the wall was neglected, some of the walls had collapsed. If it continued like this, the wall wouldn't last long. After renovating, it could last for a few years. When Xiaoxi came back, he greeted Nian. Nian ignored Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi was puzzled. Why did Nian ignore him? In the past, when he came back, Nian would stick to him passionately. Xiaoxi glanced at Nian and found that Nian's eyes were red. He asked, "What's wrong, China? Have you cried? Your eyes are red. What's wrong? Did something happen at home? Or did someone bully you?" When Nian met Xiaoxi's concerned eyes, she felt even more stifled. She replied coldly to Xiaoxi, "You don't have to pretend." Nian's words sounded like a fit of pique. At the same time, she felt jealous in her heart. When she thought that her man had another man in his heart, Nian felt very uncomfortable. After Nian finished speaking, she ran straight into the house as if she didn't want to talk to Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi was stunned by Nian's reaction. What's going on here? Why did Mrs. Nian say that out of the blue? Everyone was confused. If it were any other time, Xiaoxi would have chased after her and asked. Now that Lule was here, he was too embarrassed to go out. Lule asked with concern, "Xiaoxi, what's wrong with sister-in-law?" Xiaoxi shook his head and said, "I don't know. Sigh, but it's fine. Sometimes women will mess with you for no reason. Most of the time, you don't even know why they are messing with you." I see. Lule suddenly felt that women were a little scary. Would Xuanhuan mess with him like this when he got married in the future? Actually, it's nothing. It'll be fine soon. Xiaoxi saw that Lule was frightened, so he quickly added. Xiaoxi was thinking that Lule was not married yet. If he were to tell him that marriage was not a good thing, the trouble with women and family would probably scare Lule into being single for the rest of his life. On the other side, on the third branch's land, several men were still working hard. Compared to Su Yukai and Guiguizhen, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui appeared to be more lazy. If they were tired, they would sit down and rest. Because Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were the children's uncles, Xuanhuan was too embarrassed to say anything. Apart from the fact that the two of them had a lot of time to rest every day, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui worked well. In just a few days, the foundation of their house was almost done. Looking at the situation, it was estimated that it would be faster than he expected. After 2 or 3 days, he could call for other masons to come over and build the house. Su Yukai and Guiguizhen saw that Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were resting and didn't say anything. They knew very well that Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were the granduncle of the third branch. They couldn't compare to them. They couldn't expect them to enjoy the same treatment as Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui. Apart from Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui, this job was very good. Chapter 9:14. For this reason, if they didn't work hard, they would be letting down Zhao Wenhua's family. People should be content with what they have. Since others were kind to them, they naturally had to be kind in return. Zhao Wenhua saw that Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were resting, so he asked Zhao Tianan to come over and move the stone. At this time it was buried in the foundation, so Zhao Wenhua couldn't carry it alone. Zhao Tianan heard Zhao Wenhua's call and went over, but his expression didn't look very good, as if he was thinking about something. Come, Tianan, give me a hand. Dad can't move it alone, Zhao Wenhua said. Okay, got it, Dad. Zhao Tianan responded. Zhao Tianan followed Zhao Wenhua's instructions and lifted the stone up. Before it reached the foundation, Zhao Tianan's hand suddenly slipped, and the stone fell heavily. Zhao Tianan couldn't avoid it in time, and the stone fell heavily on Zhao Tianan's foot. Ah! Zhao Tianan cried out in pain. Zhao Wenhua saw the situation and his expression suddenly changed. Ah, Tianan, how are you? It hurts. Zhao Tianan gritted his teeth and said. Zhao Wenhua saw that Zhao Tianan's forehead was covered in cold sweat, and it looked quite scary. Zhao Wenhua's heart clenched and he hurriedly said to Zhao Tianan, Tianan, Dad will help you to the side to rest. Okay. Zhao Tianan responded. After Zhao Tianan rested at the side, he took off his shoes and looked at his feet. The toes in front were directly smashed red and it looked a bit shocking. It was said that the 10 fingers were connected to the heart, so it was no wonder that he felt pain. Tianan, you rest first. I'll send you back when I'm done with my work. Zhao Yunlong called out. Zhao Tianan smiled slightly. Dad, it's okay. You don't have to worry about me. My injury isn't serious, it's just that my foot is red. My skin isn't broken and I'm not bleeding either. Where's my mother? Zhao Wenhua nodded. Since the skin was not broken and there was no bleeding, it meant that the situation was not that serious. Zhao Wenhua was relieved. All right, take a seat first. Yes, father. Zhao Tianan was sitting on a rock. Being exposed to the sun made people feel very uncomfortable. Although they didn't need to work, they were still parched by the sun. The water in the kettle had been finished, and he was waiting for his elder sister to bring more water. Zhao Tianan held his head and shielded it from the sun with his hand. He sighed in his heart. How could he be so unlucky? Ma Xiaofeng's mother had made things difficult for him today, so he probably gave up the idea of marrying Ma Xiaofeng. He really couldn't ask his parents for the 50 taels of silver to marry Ma Xiaofeng. In addition, his parents didn't agree to him and Ma Xiaofeng being together. Even if he asked, his parents probably wouldn't take out the money. Unless he had the ability to earn the 50 taels of silver himself, but was it possible? Ordinary people probably couldn't earn that much in their lifetime. Not to mention that he didn't know anything, how could he earn that much money so easily? It was because he was thinking about this that he was absent-minded when he was moving the rock, and so he smashed his foot. Zhao Tianan became more and more dejected. Forget it, it's better not to think about this. The more I think about it, the more I find trouble for myself. When Zhao Tianan was looking into the distance in a daze, he saw a girl walking over in his line of sight. Chapter 9:15. With just a glance, Zhao Wenhua's attention was deeply attracted by this girl. This girl was none other than Mu Hin. She was carrying a kettle in her hand, and it seemed that she was here to deliver water. However, Mu Hin was delivering water to Zhu Eru, not to his family. After Zhao Tianan had a very strange feeling towards Mu Hin, he was shocked by this feeling in his heart. How could he be like this? He clearly liked Ma Xiaofeng, but he felt that the other girls weren't ordinary either. Zhao Tianan shook his head heavily to get rid of the irritation in his heart. Mu Hin walked to the side of the ground and saw Zhao Tianan resting, so she said to Zhao Tianan, "Are you resting?" Mu Hin just greeted him out of politeness. Zhao Tianan had helped her by sending her back last time. Zhao Tianan nodded. Yes. I'm here to deliver water to my brother-in-law. Mu Hin said to Zhao Tianan with a sweet smile on the corner of her mouth. Although the smile was not very bright, it gave people a refreshing feeling like a daisy. Zhao Tianan looked at her in a daze for a while, then finally came back to his senses and smiled back at Mu Hin. Then go deliver water. It's not urgent. By the way, what's wrong with you? Mu Hin saw Zhao Tianan rubbing his foot and could not help but ask with concern. Zhao Tianan's face flushed a little. It's nothing. I just accidentally hit my foot. It's nothing. Mu Hin's eyes showed a trace of concern. Is that so? Then be careful. Don't hit your foot again. Fortunately, it's nothing serious this time. Yes. By the way, are you thirsty? Mu Hin asked casually when he saw a small crack on Zhao Tianan's lips. Zhao Tianan was indeed very thirsty at this moment. She nodded shyly. Yes, I'm a little thirsty, but I've finished all the water in my house. My elder sister hasn't sent me any water yet. So that's how it is. Then you can drink mine. I have a lot of water in my kettle. My brother-in-law can't drink that much by himself. If it's not enough, I'll go back to get some more and send some over. Hearing Mu Hin's words, Zhao Tianan pursed his dry lips and said to Mu Hin, Great, thank you so much. Mu Hin smiled and said, It's nothing. It's just a glass of water. You don't have to be so polite. Yes, but I still have to thank you. It's fine. Looking at the faint smile on Mu Hin's lips, it gave people a very comfortable feeling. Some people were just like that. Although they were not very beautiful, they made people feel very comfortable. They were more pleasing to the eye than those who were outstanding beauties. Mu Hin poured a glass of water for Zhao Tianan and handed it over. Zhao Tianan was probably really thirsty. He gulped down the glass of water in a few mouthfuls. Suddenly drinking too fast, Zhao Tianan directly choked. Cough cough. Zhao Tianan violently coughed a few times. Mu Hin hurriedly patted Zhao Tianan's back and then asked with concern, Are you okay? Cough cough. I'm fine. I just drank too fast and choked. After Zhao Tianan coughed a few times, he recovered and said to Mu Hin, You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.